Hello, beautiful souls. It's Avalon here, and I am with my awesome bestie, who is currently in WA, the opposite side of Australia to me, but she is originally from America, and I'm here with Allorah Rain.
Woo woo! What's up? What's up?
So we both woke up this morning, and well, I contacted Allorah after I had 2 cups of coffee, and to be fair, I don't drink coffee anymore, so 2 cups of coffee hits me like a ton of bricks. Allorah can attest to the fact that I was manic, and I managed to, get the kids ready, send them off to school, go and check the post, got a deck, I'll talk about that in a minute, came home, vacuumed, washed, did 2 loads of washing, folded all my laundry, and then I'm just like this. I was like, I need to get on live. And so I've messaged Allorah, who is in a slightly different time zone. She's only an hour or 2 behind. But I'm like, are you awake? And by awake, I mean, are you awake? Have you had coffee, and is your brain alive? Because awake is one thing, but ready for action is something totally different. And yes, so that progressed, and I'm like, I really want to do a live today, because I've been doing lots of writing, and I've been doing lots of lots of stuff behind the scenes with tarot, and I'm just like, today I need a break from the writing, which I've done a little bit of anyway, and I really wanted to talk, I really wanted to talk some tarot with one of my absolute best friends, who is a manic tarot lover as well, and I'm like, just fucking why not? And so I'm here on tea now. I've had 2 cups of coffee, and it's set me through the roof. So I'm on tea now, English breakfast, because my Taylor and Hagrid's Yorkshire tea was out. They were out of it in the supermarket. It's never happened to me before, and that's why I ended up with coffee, by the way, because I think that English breakfast is utter shite, quite frankly, and I love my Yorkshire. And it's nice and strong. And when I weaned myself off coffee, I went straight to Yorkshire, and it's been my best friend ever since. So I went to the supermarket to get some Yorkshire. It wasn't there, so I bought coffee instead, because quite frankly, I just got a little bit lost in that moment.
Good grief, girl.
I know. So what are you drinking at the moment, Laura? What kind of coffee, tea, brew thing?
Okay, so for the Americans in the room, the stuff in the jar. So Aussies drink a lot of instant coffee, and
that's a lie. That's a flat out lie.
And we actually ran out of the pods, because we have a coffee maker. Or a coffee machine. We ran out of the pods this morning. My partner took the last one. So when I got up, I was like, oh, coffee from the jar. It's not my favorite, but it works. It does the job. It wakes me up. So yeah, that's what I'm drinking currently. I have to go.
Well, I'm surprised at the productivity. As someone who had given up coffee, my productivity declined, it plummeted. I was flatlining every day. I was like, why am I sick? Is there something wrong with me? Why can't I muster up the enthusiasm? I was literally, if I could describe myself as an emoji, I was meh. That was me.
Oh, that's fun.
But I had coffee yesterday, because I have 2 kid-free days in which I do most of my work, and I had coffee yesterday, and I woke up and I could not believe my productivity. I actually could not stop talking about my productivity. I felt the need to message my friends to tell them how much I'd done, and then my husband to tell him how much I'd done. Everyone was ultra impressed with me, because usually I am a meh. And so when I told them that something had happened, and to be fair, yesterday was a Taurus moon. I'm a Taurus. We got some stuff done yesterday, didn't we, Tauruses? Didn't we? We picked ourselves up off the ground, and we just went and did that thing. So
what's so funny though? It's so funny that it's so funny that you say that, because I think about when the moon's in Virgo, I don't feel like that at all. Like it's like I think my most productive moon set, like the most productive I am is when the moon is in Aries, believe it or not.
Ah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I do pretty good with an Aries moon. I've got a lot of Aries in my chart, but my most creative moon is Leo. So when Leo's in the vicinity, I'm making things. I'm being ultra creative. And when Aries is in the vicinity, I'm taking charge. And that doesn't necessarily manifest itself as work. It just manifests itself as as an approach, like just, and I notice myself getting a little bit like dictator. Whatever that was, I've got a lot of energy. I've got a lot of caffeine in my body right now. Part of the reason why we had to do a live, because I'm typing. I was pounding on my keyboard just typing for Bonestone book, right? And I'm just like, and I could hear myself. It took me a little while to actually hear myself. And I'm like, damn, girl, it's a laptop. Go easy, If it could have been smoking, it would have been. It was like a cartoon moment where I was like, I'm not a great typist, guys. I look down at the keys when I type. I type quickly now because I'm so used to it, but I don't touch type. I don't do these ones elegantly.
That's what I do.
Yeah, no, I don't. That's why Allorah doesn't know this yet, but when she comes to visit me, she's going to be typing out some of my book. I'm just going to sit here and dictate to her, and she's going to just like, Should never have told me that, friend. Oh, by the way, this is my coffee/tea mug, courtesy of my son Caspian. So it's beautiful. I woke up this morning, I have a couple of favorite coffee mugs, and I just grabbed whichever one was closest. And when I made my first cup of coffee, Caspian went, "Don't you like my mug?"
Oh.
So I went, "Oh my gosh." And I do use it, to be fair. It's not like I put it up there and I'm like, hideous, I'm going to shy away from it. No, I do use it because it's a perfect, solid little mug, you know what I mean? And he loves it when I use it. I just need to just remember that more often. Anyways, enough about that. Let's talk a little bit about tarot. That's why we brought you here. That's why we lured you with, thousands of like posts in different Facebook groups. Again, I apologize. That's indicative of my caffeine mania. Allorah had told me to take a good deep breath beforehand, and I just couldn't. I couldn't shush. Just couldn't shush. She's like, "I'm going to need you to come down." I can't.
You're at like a 20. We need you at like a 9.
That's my productivity. Like, I am. I get right up there. That's why I really love coffee, because it has such a strong effect on me. Anyways, so we're going to talk about some tarot. I've got a couple of tarot decks here that are really like I'm driving with. Allorah does the same. We're going to talk a little bit about crystals, oils, sprays, resources, books, you name it. We're going to have a full-on tarot talk, and we're going to be talking tea. We're probably going to have a couple of giggles, and we'll potentially sling some cards at the end. So that's the idea. It's just a relaxed, friendly chat, just going through what we love to talk about, what we love to use. I've got some delicious favorites here, and I'm just going to go through them. And I've got one little cool thing that I'm going to start off with, right? So we're not talking a theme here today. We're not exploring any concepts, although they may come up naturally. We are talking tarot. We're talking tarot. Probably talk a little bit of magic because we're pagan witches. So it just happens naturally. And everything's going to be fun. Yay for bonus productivity. Yeah, I know. So I wanted to introduce this to you guys if you've never heard of it. To all my Kiwi friends that are out there, like, you'll know this. It is called a sniff box.
Oh, yeah. That's what you told me I needed to get. And I'm like, a what?
Yeah. Right. So I'd never heard about this before. And over the holiday period, my husband went down to see his family with the kids, and I went to visit my sister. I'm pretty sure, everybody knew that already. He came back and he had this little thing on his bedside table for ages and ages. To be fair, I only discovered this about 3 weeks ago, right? And I've been a bit obsessed with it the whole time. It's more my thing now than it is his, but his sister gave this to him, you know, as a little prezi, and it's a sniff box. It is what it says. You unscrew it. It's got aromatherapy beads on the inside, and you just hold it up to your nose and you sniff it, and it is amazing. Like this particular blend, it's a de-stress blend, and I can get pretty stressy. I'm a mother of 3, and I rock my creative life pretty intensely. This has lavender, which is one of my favorites, ylang ylang, which is one of my favorites, majoram vetiver, and it's designed to ease tension and balance, ideal for a busy lifestyle, right? When I smelt this thing, it was like my favorite smell, my absolute favorite scent in one little box. And so, of course, I went really manic about it. And throughout the day, I actually have a little sniff of it. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning it is because when I'm doing back-to-back readings, to help me reset, I'm a very fragrance-led. I'm a visual person. I'm very fragrance-led. To help me reset between readings, I smudge, or I smoke cleanse my space. I spritz, cleanse my space. I spritz myself, and then I'll have this, because for some reason, as soon as I just like, I'm set, I'm ready to go, I'm crisp from the inside out. It actually clears my channel all the way through. I can feel it down to the middle of my chest when I have a good sniff of it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good to go. I'm good to go.
So it sounds like a dryer sheet for your soul. Is what I'm hearing.
I've never used a dryer sheet, well, but I assume it's awesome.
In America, we use them all the time. Downy sheets. It helps your clothes not have static, especially.
Oh yeah,
it gets so cold.
And of course, they make them fragrant, right?
Yes. So it's like a dryer sheet for your soul.
It really does feel like a dryer sheet for my soul. Now, the reason why I mentioned my New Zealand friend is because this is actually made in New Zealand. So, and they make all different little sniff boxes. So they've got ones for focus, ones for easing like jet lag and travel and that kind of thing, and a few others, I believe. But it is made in New Zealand by Matakana Botanicals, and I'm loving it strong. I've got to say, it's going to end up in one of my favorites videos. I keep saying I'm going to make a favorites video, but I lack the time, so I'm not going to say it anymore. I'm just going to go, boom, wow, Avalon put out a favorites video. Like a blue moon.
You know, I really love the monthly favorites videos, and you know, the one that I did do, I think it was like last June. That video has been viewed more times than most of my other videos. So people really like to see like what other people really love during a month or during a season or whatever.
Yeah, and I find it really interesting as well. Like, I would much rather see a monthly favorites and hear people talk about their monthly favorites, because it's very personal. I think that's why I like it. It's quite personal, you know, and it's quite eclectic. It's not just one thing. So they'll talk a little, you know, at least the people that I watch. They'll talk a little bit about decks, a little bit about crystals, a little bit about oils, you know, and other little bits and bobs that tickle their fancy. I'm like, oh, and it allows you to get to know a person as well.
Yeah, I really love Sammy Menzo's monthly favorites, because she like goes through my favorite color this month, and I'm like, what? I'm like, you can have one of those. But I love it because she like I guess what she chooses for her favorites is a whole wide range of things. Like, and it's not just specifically metaphysical tools or whatever. It's food, it's colors, it's yeah.
Yeah. I think you can get really wide with it. Like, I think one of the last, it might not have been the last one, but one of the favorites videos that I did had my iPad in it as my honorable mention and my Apple Pencil because they were my favorites. But I'm rocking some new decks at the moment. What kind of new decks have you got over there, Allorah?
Okay, so as you said, I am in WA. For those of you who don't know, that's Western Australia. And when I came over, I brought some decks with me, but I couldn't bring, my entire collection or anything like that. So I just brought a few with me, but I have actually acquired one since I've been here. And they just came. When did this come? last week sometime. Yeah, I think. And it is the Naked Heart Tarot by Jillian C. Wild. We kind of went over this a little bit on STW the last time that we did a broadcast about the issues that Jillian was experiencing with the printer, and how as a tarot creator you can't control every aspect of the printing process. This was out of her hands. She had some issues with the backing, peeling, and those things. But it is my understanding that there is a solution in place now. Yes?
Yeah.
But so when I got, we didn't know if these decks were going to be affected by those issues. So originally we were going to do an unboxing, but we didn't know what quality the decks would look like. So we wanted to see them first before revealing them to you guys. But, you know, mine came and it looks fine to me. But these cards are absolutely stunning. Whoa, light. It's so shiny.
I can see myself.
Can you?
I can see myself in the reflection of your card back.
Oh, man. Okay, so those are the backs of the cards. And I love this because I should take a picture of it in Insta. But so the backs of these cards are designed so that you can use them as crystal grids. And that is actually what I have going on in the lounge room or living room. So I thought that was really, really cool. I also love the box. Box is super sturdy.
Yeah, the box is actually,
yeah.
It's bigger, isn't it? Like the depth of a box. It's quite big. It's quite hefty.
Yeah, and it's magnetic close. And then you have the elemental symbols along the side, name of the deck on this side, cover, and then on the back some of the card previews. But I absolutely love, and the packaging as well. If you just got yours this morning, did you not?
Yes, I did.
So when the way that it's shipped, it comes in black tissue paper.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, it comes in black tissue paper, and then it's also shrink wrapped. The box is shrink wrapped. So yeah, the presentation of the deck alone is really, really awesome. And then you get all these lovely cards, which each of them is just amazing. Like, the artwork is ridiculous. Jillian is
I love that tower card. I thought it was really beautiful.
Yeah. So that's a couple. So I'm dropping them. And then, of course, Jillian included this book. And I also love she included what do you call that card? An extra card?
The title card, the artist card?
No. It's an extra.
The wild card?
Yeah.
The happy squirrel.
Happy squirrel card. That's what I was trying to think of. So, and I absolutely, absolutely love the happy squirrel card that she included because it's called the Naked Heart, and it's one of the major arcana. And I knew exactly right away, like I didn't even have to look in the book. I was like, that means authenticity. And so I knew, like,
yeah, right. This is a chunky book, guys. I mean, your average little white book that would fit in a box, right? Your average little white book is not nearly 300 pages long. Like, this is well over a centimeter thick. Like, that's legit phenom. As my besties and I would say, legit phenom. I want to measure it. I thought I had a ruler.
No.
But it's beautiful, and she's a bit of a poet. I don't know if you know Jillian very well. She's a bit of a poet. Like, the very inside of the box reads, When you strip it all away, our heart is left naked and vulnerable. Only then can we hear the whispers of our truth that connects us to the divine. Gillian C. Wilde.
Yes, and she has a website as well, jilliancwilde.com. She is a very, very lovely person, and we had her on STW, and she's just, she speaks to the soul when she talks.
She really does. Yeah, she really does. Yeah, she's a beautiful, beautiful soul, and it's just such a sweetheart, honestly. She really is just the loveliest individual. And for those of you wanting to know about production,
Yeah.
She will be switching printers, that's my understanding. So she had a hell of a time with her printer, and so she sort of like, you know, she wrestled with her printer a little bit. They were able to give her a good result, but she's chosen to go elsewhere. And obviously, due to the experience, she has chosen to go elsewhere. So the Naked Heart is still there. It's still doing its thing, and for further specifics, I would definitely either get on her mailing list or just email her personally. And if you have any questions or concerns, she will most likely get back to you in a timely fashion. But she is very good with her emails and her mailing lists per se. So jump on her mailing list. You can do that if you just go to her website. And she puts out pretty regular updates regarding the Naked Heart. I'm on her mailing list, so I know sort of, you know, the vibe. And she's very good like that way. Still taking names for next round, which is not open yet. Very good, very good. That was Colleen McLean. Sorry, Colleen McLean just said, checked it again. Still taking names for next round, which is not open yet. So yes, like I said, she is going to another printer, and she's hoping to get a better result from another printer. I will say this though, my deck arrived this morning. And at the behest of Gillian, I didn't do a live unboxing, but I will be doing a review and a bit of a flip through. I don't show all of the cards, and she's given me permission to do that, but I never show all the cards. It's, you know, it's an ethical thing for me. So I decided that I'd go through it and have a bit of a look. So this gives me the opportunity to have a good play with the deck and then be able to give a very honest review. So rather than like a sprightly unboxing, you'll get an in-depth review from me, which is something that I rarely do because I don't work with tarot for the length of time of a deck. I don't work with a single deck for the length of time necessary to garner a really good review. Although this has changed this year. I'm changing that this year, so just wait and see.
Well, and I have to say too, with what happened to Gillian, I think the way that she has handled it is spectacular and graceful, and I think she has done all of the right things by suspending the sale of the deck, the production of the deck, and sending out decks at less quality than what she wanted and what people ordered. Because let's face it, when something like that happens, I would much rather the manufacturer or the creator of something say hold up and take a little bit more time than to sacrifice the quality of what's being made because of patience and being impatient. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, and I understand. I can understand both sides of that, of the coin. I mean, you know, I'm not by nature an impatient person. I have practiced a lot of delayed gratification. And people think that's so weird. And yeah, it probably is weird, but it helps me with my impatience. Like I'm not in a hurry for too many things. Like as far as my success and the creations of things, I'm in a hurry in that regard. But you know, if I've decided to back a creative project, then a creative project is in the hands of the gods. And I'm okay with that. You know, you never know what's going to happen. You never know that creator might have a fantastic reputation for delivering on time, but natural events occur all the time. You know, and you just never know. You never know what kind of spirit interruption they're going to have, they're going to face, and you know, you just don't know. And so, you know, it's nice to have just that little, okay, I trust the process, I'm going to back that. That's the way that it is, you know, and I'm just that person. Not everyone is like that. A lot of people see what they want it, and they want it now. I'm not a want it now kind of a person. Just not.
Yeah.
Some things maybe. Charlie Hunnam, absolutely.
Oh, speaking of which, I just saw this, and you saying Charlie Hunnam made me think of it. Just so you know, Sons of Anarchy is actually that there are 2 spin-off series happening.
Ah.
So one of them is going to be his sons after his death and after they're grown. And the other is going to be the story about his father.
Oh, exciting.
I just read that article. So for those of you who are lovers of Sons of Anarchy and Charlie Hunnam, there's more series coming for that. So.
That's beautiful. They'll probably make a Sons of Anarchy tarot deck, you know.
That would be killer.
That's so fun. So what else are you working with at the moment, Allorah? What other decks have you got going on right now?
Let's see. Okay, so this is another one of my favorites, but it's still in production. I gotta ask Ellie what the update is on this, because last I heard it finally got a box and some other things were decided on it. But this is the New Era Elements Tarot, and I absolutely love this deck. So
goodie, isn't it?
I know. So that's the back. And we got pre-release copies because we asked, and we're a little special. But no, it's because I loved Ellie's work so much, and this deck was on
Deviant. What is it called? DeviantArt.
Yeah, this deck is actually, you can view this deck on DeviantArt, the images, and that's where I found this deck and Ellie, and so it's just amazing. And we had her on STW as well, and she did, for those of you who have not heard of this deck or heard of her, she has kind of done one of the most difficult things there is to do with tarot, and she has done it in such a way that I don't know another creator who I can say has done this as successfully as Ellie has, which is take modern images and place them in tarot cards, if that makes sense, and give the tarot the meanings with modern context. So like the Devil card. So you have, what's the devil about? Addiction, obsession, not moderation. You have money and Nazism and the Holocaust and just, yeah.
Emma's watching right now, Allorah.
I got to meet Emma.
Laura got to meet my absolute best friend, bridesmaid at my wedding. She lives in WA. So this girl and I have done, this is Emma Dunkley. She's in the chat now. You can go bombard her and make her feel really uncomfortable. I can almost see her blushing from here. I can feel the blush.
All right, let's see.
In keeping with this deck, when we did have Ellie on STW, she, just hearing her talk about her process, her artistic process, because some of the images that she looked at were really, really confronting, and she mentions, that it was an experience, a difficult experience to sort of look at these images, and some of them were really ghastly, images in human history, and then draw them out. Part of the reason why she didn't do it in color as well, because that would have been extremely visceral and, would have been intense. And so the way that she's used her color palette throughout the deck itself is just, it evokes a sensation, like a really strong emotive response. And you can't just look at this deck and go, oh yeah, that's a reading. Like, you lose yourself in the artwork. It's a beautiful thing.
And I have to say something also. By Feather, Branch, and Stone said that's a hard-hitting devil card, and it is. And what I want to point out as well is images of the Nazi symbolism and the Holocaust are used in this card. Ellie is German. So, for instance, I'll have to find it, but the Tower card depicts the Great Wall of China and, was it no. What is it? The Berlin Wall and the Twin Towers falling. And, you know, that is striking. And as far as people getting upset and offended or whatever, I just think about the Devil card and how this is something that is close to her heritage, and that had to be very difficult for her to draw it out. That would be like me drawing the Twin Towers type thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's different when you're from a place and having to draw that stuff out. But at the same time, she didn't disclude her own culture in the making of this deck. So she kind of her own, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think, you know, a lot of artists create from, you know, their own personal narrative, and, you know, she would draw from her own personal experiences. Ellie might not have been, you know, necessarily at the fall of the Berlin Wall, but she would have definitely studied in Germany, and she would have studied history, and she would have been affected by it and known people who were affected by it. And it's a narrative that type of thing, that type of world event, it leaves an imprint in everybody. Babies who were born today will know of that, you know, and it's one of those situations. So,
do you remember when we showed the death card when she was on and what she said about it?
I do.
You do? Okay, go ahead.
No, I don't want to, because she put it like poetry, dude.
Yeah, she did. So I'm gonna paraphrase here. I don't sound anything like Ellie does when she describes this whole thing.
She's an academic, guys. She's an academic, so.
Oh yes, the woman carries 2 PhDs.
Yeah.
So.
So no, I'm not going to talk.
But basically, the reason she said the reason why the skull is so anatomically correct is because when she was drawing the death card, she remembered the first time that she realized that she had a skull and bones in her face, and that she was dying a little each day, and she was only 13 years old, and we're sitting there going, holy crap. And then the flowers behind, these are actually flowers that only bloom at night, I believe.
Then I think that, yeah, they're a form of night flower or moon flower or something like that.
Yeah. So then there's a whole symbolism behind, you know, blooming, growing in the dark and transitioning, you know, not during the day.
See?
Like, you have to go back and watch that episode of STW where she.
It is, and it's emotional. Like, I just found myself, I'm a reformed nail biter, and I find that whenever I'm hit, like I get nervous or anxious or like emotional, my hands just go to my mouth, and I just noticed that my hands were like in my mouth then, as Allorah was talking about, because it was listening to her talk is 100% fascinating. She is a very patient and articulated speaker, and so
yeah, that's another one of the most hard-hitting cards in the deck. And so, yeah, if you guys really like these images, you can go to DeviantArt and check them out. They're all up on DeviantArt. Her name is Ellie Piper. But this deck is actually being published by US Games, and it's in production currently. The last update that we got was that the box was finally made. And I don't know where it is in production now, but hopefully it's going to be released soon. I can't even talk. Jesus.
It's a beautiful deck. I'm going to be, we bought our copies from her direct, and that was at the time where she was still, I think she was only just talking to US Games, and so she was selling her decks, you know, personally, but then she's going through US Games, so I think she stopped doing that now, and I'm going to be buying the US Games Systems copy as well, because you know, I'm going to. It's a it is just a stunning deck, and there's nothing like it. It's one of those decks that you go, oh, there's nothing like it. There is. It's a jewel in a collection, quite frankly, and I can say that.
Yeah, I will be very curious to see if there are differences, like what the differences are between the copies that we bought from her and then the copies that they make. Because, you know, when we bought ours on a particular card stock and things like that. And I'm sure US Games is not going to do the same card stock and stuff that we got. Because ours
US Game System doesn't have terrible card stock though. Like, you know, I'm more impressed usually with US Game System card stock than say like low Scarabeo.
Yeah.
Although they're getting better. All of them are getting better with their card stocks, I've got to say. But, okay, so we've talked about beautiful Ellie. So I'm going to talk about the Light of Visions tarot because this is one that I was sent. It arrived like just 2 days ago, and I have already filmed the unboxing of this. And this deck is created by James Eads, who was responsible for the Prisma Visions tarot. That was a Kickstarter a couple of years ago. It has beautiful gilded edges. The Prisma, I believe, has silver gilding. The box are the same type of box, really high quality. And this is a continuation type of deck as well. So, you know, the suits, if you lay them all side by side in order, they create a full picture. And you've got this. However, the Prisma Visions was a color deck, and this is more of a sepia deck. But it is absolutely beautiful. The mages are standalone. That's the death card. Look at that. It's a skull hand and a rose. But it is an absolutely gorgeous deck. It's borderless, as you can see, with the exception of the mages. The mages, it's the same thing with the Prisma Visions. The mages are standalone, and the minors are all a continuation of imagery. And so he has a very impressionist style of art. Is that what you call it? Is it impressionist?
Pointillism.
Pointillism? Was that Van Gogh? He did the Starry Night, because he's got that little Van Gogh feel to it.
But to me, it's more Seurat.
Mm.
You know,
he's got a little everything here. He's got a good heavy influence.
He does a lot with dotting.
He really does, doesn't he?
He's like a mix between Seurat and Van Gogh.
Yeah.
Because the actual images are very Van Gogh, but some of the technique is more.
I think it's the sky. I think the skies are really Van Gogh, like the movement in the sky. You know, the Starry Night. One of Van Gogh's famous paintings is the Starry Night. And yeah, it's beautiful. Strength card here. And so I got this 2 days ago, unboxed it yesterday, and I'm keen to give it a red hot go before I do a thorough review of it. I'm trying to really utilize my deck. This is the backing. It's beautiful. And it does have a happy squirrel card called the Orchid, and it is unknown. I do believe that the suits are all the same with the exception of cups, which is chalices. I do believe that's a thing. Yeah, chalices. But all traditional suits, you know, he loosely follows the Rider-Waite-Smith system. He's not a clone. He's not a Rider-Waite clone, but he does follow the system a little bit. And I'm just really, the color of the deck is what really takes me by surprise, because it's an aubergine eggplant color, the entire deck. Like, the backing of the deck is beautiful. The box is just gorgeous. And the color, it's not black and white. It's like this deep mauvey purple and this sandy yellow color. And together they just create, I don't know, it creates a really beautiful image. Like, I don't usually go for monotone decks or black and white decks. It's not really my thing. I'm quite visual. I can appreciate some of them, and some are done very well. Like Ellie's deck, the New Era Elements. That is one deck that you don't miss any details on whatsoever. And then there are others where I'm just like, no, I need a little bit of color. I'm a colorful person, you know. I need a little bit of color. So it doesn't have to be a lot of color, but a little bit of color, you know. And I really like the fact that it's not black and white. It's like maroni, eggplant, and like creamy gold, or, you know, something to that effect. And the box is beautiful. The guidebook that came with it is lovely. My husband's trying to call me. It's not going to happen. Yeah, it's a beautiful, and I've paired that one. I don't know if you guys, you know, pair your crystals, but it was between the witch's finger that I have a beautiful witch's finger crystal, and a nice piece of bloodstone. So it liked the bloodstone better. And so it's paired with the bloodstone, and it sits over the eye, which I really like. So there's the eye on the back of it, and it sits just over the eye. It just looks really hot. Like, it looks really nice together. And, you know, and I never do it for the visual look. You know, the visual doesn't, it's not about the visuals. They have to work well together. They have to synergize. There has to be an element of temperance. God, I fucking love temperance at the moment. I'm really vibing with that card right now. I've been told I always go for the complicated cards. The Hierophant, one of my favorites, as we all know. The Eight of Swords, one of my favorites, as we all know. Temperance, my favorite now. It's my newly favorite.
What did you say? It's a what?
It's a newly favorite. It's like, I love all the cards in the tarot. But when I've been writing the Bonestone book, and when I got to Temperance, I felt that card in every facet of my life. It took me a couple of days to write about it. And everywhere I did, everything I did, every conversation I had, I was just noticing temperance. Like, it really played out through me. I had a coven gathering, and I'm like, you know what this is? This is an act of temperance. And they all knew that they know that my coven knows that I walk with the cards. So I'm writing them. I'm walking with the cards. Right now, I'm shining bright because I'm working with the sun. High energy, working with the sun.
Oh, you crack me up.
Oh, it's one of those beautiful things, though. And yeah, I'm really loving the Lighter Visions. And I love that James Eads did the Prisma Visions, which is a colored deck, and then he did the Lighter Vision. So you get these really two unique decks from him. They're the same style of artwork. The box, the superior quality is absolutely there, but they're very different while still remaining the same. And I'm really looking forward to using it. It was one of the few times where I've actually unboxed a deck and went, you know what? I'm going to use this now. I'm not going to wait until this season, this Sabbath, this time, or when, you know, Spirit calls me to do so. I just felt really compelled to use it right then and there. Oh, God. That's my husband. So what else are you working with at the moment, Allorah? What other decks have you got going on there?
Okay, so
I've just realized that I missed a deck. I'm just going to quickly go and grab it. So you continue.
Okay. Okay. Like I said, I brought a limited number of decks to Australia with me. And one of them, and they're all carefully chosen. And I brought with me the Fantastical Creatures tarot deck. And the main reason, actually, that I brought this deck with me is because it was gifted to me by my beautiful soul brother, Chase, Two of Owls. If you don't know him, you should. He is awesome. And he has a channel here on YouTube, and he does STW with us. But he gifted this to me. He sent a beautiful little note in there to me. And every time that I have this deck in my hands, it reminds me of him. And because it's a lot of animals, and he's the animal guy. For those of you who don't know, he is, oh God, why can't I think of the name of his tribe? Help me.
What, Red Earth tribe?
No.
What are you looking for?
What type of Native American is he?
Choctaw. No, is it Choctaw?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, Choctaw.
Yeah, he's Choctaw. And so he follows animal medicine a lot. So these all have, okay. Here, I'll show you some of them. Let's see, what do we got? Trying to find, the sun. It's a griffin.
Oh,
See, these
that's
are fantastic.
beautiful.
Yeah, these are fantastical animals. There's, and this is like shape shifting. It's into a wolf. Yeah, so that's the reason that I have this deck, and I actually connect with it quite well. So so I brought that one, and then the other tarot deck I have sitting here, which I'm not going to pull out because I'm sure I've talked about it a million times, but the Tarot of the Vampire, because I needed a darker deck to use, and it's like my ride or die dark deck, I guess you would say. Like if I need a dark deck, that's the first one I'm gonna go to. And then I have my ride or die oracle. Actually, you said you're like, get your tarot and oracle, so I did. So this is my, and you can tell by the box that this is my ride or die oracle because it is hella busted. The box is shredded at this point, like it's falling apart. And this is the Vibrational Energy Oracle by Debbie Anderson, who is absolutely amazing. But I love this oracle deck because it's not all rainbows and sunshine. To put it mildly.
I like the F word card in that one.
Oh yeah. I love it when it comes up in like, for somebody who's never seen this deck or used this deck, and they're like, what? The F word? But these are some of the cards. I don't know if you see that? Let's see. I mean, just gorgeous.
Beautiful, isn't it?
But they don't, like I said, it's not all rainbows and butterflies, which is something that I really appreciate in an oracle deck, because I am not a fan of the oracle decks that give you a warm hug every card. Sometimes you need an oracle that's like, hey, you're being a shithead.
Hey, you're an asshole. Good morning, asshole.
Why don't you knock it off? Yeah.
I'm gonna get some oracle because I forgot my oracle. I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 tarot, no oracle.
So while you're doing that,
yeah,
I'm just gonna quickly talk stones that I've been vibing with lately, as of late, or typical stones that I'll pull out when I do reading. And I'm talking when I don't always pull stones and things out when I'm reading for myself, because a lot of times I'm in a hurry and I just want to sling really quick and see what's going on with whatever, like how my day's going to go or what have you. But if I'm sitting down for a serious card slinging session, of course, black tourmaline, always going to have it. I love black tourmaline. It is awesome, very grounding, protective. I love having it on a table when I'm doing a serious reading. Another one that I really, really like, and these I've vibed with for years, is smoky quartz. This is
yes, for the smoky quartz.
Look at this. Look at this piece of smoky quartz. Can you just appreciate this?
That almost looks like citrine.
But it's not.
It's fantastic.
I got this in Brisbane.
Oh, beautiful.
At that Ithaca that I was telling you about. And lately, and then I'll either have a piece of amethyst or azurite. Azurite is another one of my favorites to put on a reading table. And like I don't know why, but recently I've been carrying this around like it's gonna save my life. This is a Numite. I don't know. You know what this is? Yeah. So this is the Sorcerer's Stone, and it aids in psychic protection and warding, things like that. So I don't know. I've just been carrying it around a lot. So that's what I'm vibing with at the moment, crystal wise.
I like One of the reasons why I really like placing crystals on top of my tarot decks is because it gives me more crystals around me at all times, right? So if a tarot is in a box, it doesn't have its crystal with him. Oftentimes that's mostly because not all of the crystals that I pair my decks with can fit in boxes. But the ones that I leave purposefully out on the shelf, they all have crystals on them. The ones that sit on my table for whatever season I'm in, they all have crystals on top of them. And then I have mad crystal grids all around me, and I work a lot with crystals. But I bought a couple in, and you've already talked about tourmaline, and tourmaline is, you will not find me anywhere in this world without a piece of tourmaline. In one form or another, it will be with me. It will either be on me, in my bag, in my car, like it's there at all times. And I do love it. And Karis Molina, who we've also had on STW, we traded a little, behind the scenes experience one with each other. So she approached me, for something professional, and, we did a little trade. And she made me, as a result of that trade, she made me this rainbow light gem strand, and it's 1 meter long, and it's rainbow colored tourmaline all the way through on rosary silver, with these little crystals at either point. And I've got to say, like, it wraps around like a snake. I've done its own video. I've done my own video about it because I'm that impressed with it. And it's the first time that I've worked with tourmaline in its non-typically black form. So I'm a black tourmaline girl, like, black tourmaline here, black tourmaline in the 4 quarters of my properties, black tourmaline everywhere, right? And that's the first time that I've actually used it in its rainbow phase. Yay! Hey, Christina D. Miss Christina D's here. In alignment with that, I have also Caffeine here. And I really like Caffeine. So I have it, Caffeine and Moldavite, they sit opposing each other on my readers table. They're always there. Even when I change all of the other crystals, there's just a couple of crystals like tourmaline, like Isis, my channeling crystal, and a few other bits and bobs that are constantly there. And Caffeine is always opposing Moldavite. They're never together. They might be this close, but they're sitting on opposite sides from each other. And they hold very different energy, but it's great for psychic work and intuition, the stimulation of intuition and the grounding of that intuition to be able to articulate the intuition. It's intelligent intuition as opposed to, whimsical or, luminous kind of intuition where things just sort of like, develop as a cloud or a sensation, but it's never necessarily anchored down. Like, you have this little flash of intuition, and it's very smoky, and it's very, wispy, and you can barely hold your hands on it. Caffeine is fantastic for taking those moments of intuition and allowing you to amass it into an intelligent spiel and share if you wish to, or journal it out if you wish to, or just keep it to yourself if you wish to do that as well. So I love that. And then my last working stone is Labradorite. Look at this. Look at this. Scorpio is my ascendant, and this stone, which has oftentimes been described as the Temple of Stars, is attributed to the sun sign of Scorpio. And it's another stone that has that amazing, resonance with your intuition. It's a stone that you can work with for meditation. You can work with in a reader table type setting. You can journey with it. You can place it on top of your stones. You can use it in conjunction with crystal grids. It's one of those amazing stones that will enable you to find the poetry in your intuition. That's at least how I feel about it when I use Labradorite. I find my 18th, 16th century poet and I'm able to write quite well when I do have it close by. So they're my beautiful stones that are on my reader's table. Actually, all of the time. They're always there. They're always there. There's others that are always there, but I just felt like grabbing those 3.
Dun, dun, dun.
How about this spirit guide oil from the Witch's Moon, formerly the Moon Box?
They changed their name.
This one. They did, yeah.
I was wondering about that because I saw like the unboxings like changed, and I'm like, is there a new one? Like, what happened with that?
They've got 2 subscription boxes at the moment. They went from the Moon Box to the Witch's Moon. So the Witch's Moon is the former Moon Box. So that's the subscription box with all the witchy ephemera, all the beautiful witchy goodies. That's a very high-end witches kit that you get. Very, very beautiful, incredibly high quality stuff that you will find in there. Like, just such incredible stuff and really thoughtful arrangements as well. And they also have the Witch's Bounty, which is the jewelry subscription that they do. And so they source their jewelry pieces, you know, usually from Sedona, from creators in Sedona, and they use high quality silver and incredible natural pieces of crystal. It's never artificial. It's not, it's nothing about it is cheap looking. Like, it's impressive. These like pieces are impressive, and they come with a crystal and an oil. So you get your little kit, you get your little Witch's Bounty subscription kit, and it comes with a beautiful pendant. It comes with an oil, and it comes with a crystal, and you can anoint your pendant if you choose to do so, or anoint yourself as you're using, you know, your pendant, and it's just lovely stuff. But this is one of their spirit guide ones, and I have used this so much. Like, it came in one of their last boxes. And over the holidays where I was doing a lot of New Year readings, I was like temple, and I was on the table. I anointed the table, the space. It was all over my hands, and I was rubbing it all over my decks. And it was just a fabulous time. And it's actually one of the, it's gone down to here. Like, I tend to use, I'm a Taurus, you know, I like to hoard things. I tend to use things very sparingly, but this one's gone down pretty damn quickly, you know. And I take it to coven ritual as well. And, you know, some of the witches in my coven, they choose to use it and anoint themselves. When we were down at the beach recently for the, the blue blood moon eclipse, I took this down with me for the spirit guide aspect, because we did a fire of Azrael down there, and it was a divination fire, and, you know, the moon was like blood red in the sky was clear. We had an illegal fire going on the beach, and, you know, nobody came anywhere near us. Nobody. There was nobody there. I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on here? This is a once in 150-year astrological event, and there's not another soul on the beach. And here's the clincher. We get to our spots on our beach. We have a few ritual spots around the region, right? And we decided to go to Ellis. It's the flattest beach, and it's the longest and flattest beach. And so it's a really nice spot. The only downside is it's right next to the road, but you're far removed from it in a way, because there's a lot of, you know, a lot of shrubbery, a lot of tree line, and so it doesn't matter. When we got there, the car park was full, which was unusual, and there was a circle. I assume it's a new age circle, one of those goddess circle types of things, and there was lots and lots of them, and they were in a big circle, usually where we are. So they took our spot, which I was dirty about. That's all right, because there's enough beach for everyone. And so we start setting up, and, you know, when you're witching under the moon, it's not a whispered affair. It's like we were banging drums and singing at the top of our lungs. Anyway, they ended up leaving before the eclipse. Just as the eclipse was happening, they started to leave. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, look at the sky. Like, why would you leave? Why would you leave in this moment? It was a conundrum for me. But we had this spirit guide down there, and we just had a great old time, and doing the witches thing, and it was just really, really fun. And so I use this on my reader's table. This sits on my reader's table. I have a selection of oils. Then if you have ever seen my altar, my main altar, then you will know that I like to work with oils. So I use that. Spirit Guide's one of my favorites. It helps you to open up, even if you're not really used to working with what do you call it, with spirit guides, with deity. Just put it on and help to stimulate your little processes a bit more. Another two things that I would like to mention. I'll mention this one because this is another moon box one. It came in their divination moon box, and it's a tarot spray. Look at that eye. Can we not? Like, look at that eye. It's amazing, and it smells divine. And it's a beautiful glass. It's a big ass glass bottle, and it's an amber bottle. So it's high quality. It's so fragrant. It's ridiculous. So I'm like, open up my sessions, you know, between my client sessions. And then this is another one. And I am like, whoa, this is low. This is like down to here. There, you know, where are you? I can't even see through it. I think it's about there. And this is a space clearing potion. And Allorah, I'm mentioning this one to you because this is from Elder Crow, and he's here in Australia. Earthly Alchemy is his business. Ooh. So if you're in Australia and you're watching, Space Clearing Potion by Elder Crow. He is a clinical aromatherapist. You know that this shit is good. It smells amazing. And it is like in the very hot time that I had over the Christmas New Year period, it was so hot I couldn't even sit in my office to read. So I ended up having to grab my coffee table, which is ironic because that was my first professional tarot table. And I put it in my room because I had a Japanese exchange student stay, and I had the air conditioner on, and I was not using smoke at all, folks. I was not using smoke to cleanse. I'm like, it's just too hot. And so I was using that space clearing potion and the divination spray, and it's just to create that sense of sacred space and to align your centers and to help you to really just integrate into the moment a bit better. So they're my high recommendations. What else have you got there, Allorah?
So typically one of the things that I like to use to cleanse decks and clear space is Palo Santo. I love this stuff. When it's not lit, it smells like licorice. And then when it is lit, it smells like licorice. Kind of. But yeah, I don't know why. I really love, I guess, you know, I like incense, and I do burn incense during readings, but for specific space clearing stuff, it's either this or sage sweetgrass mix in a smudge, one or the other. But I really like the natural wood. Like that's, I don't know, it's a thing. And then during when I'm reading, I typically like to burn dragon's blood. It's like my go-to. Always dragon's blood. Always. And as far as oil,
resin, or do you burn the stick incense?
Depends. And lately, so we have a couple different spaces throughout the house for burning incense, and here at my little workstation, I like burning cones because it's compact and small. It doesn't take up like a huge amount of room. But on our meditation altar, I'll burn or meditation space, I'll burn the stick incense. I actually like my favorite is loose incense, but I don't have a burner for it here yet. That's like on the to-do list.
My dear friends, this is what you do, okay? So you go to Woolies, Woolies, right? And go into the cold section, go and look for the desserts, and you will find a creme brulee in a terracotta pot, a proper terracotta pot. You cook the shit, you eat it, then you wash that terracotta pot out, you put a little bit of sand on it, and there's your incense burner. It will not disrupt your life in any way, and you will be better off for it.
You could just go to, I don't know, Kmart, maybe, look for a terracotta.
No, because then you don't get any creme brulee, do you? Do you get creme brulee from Kmart? No one does.
No. Oh man!
And it's a very, very good, thick, good quality earthen jar. You can get the cheeses. You can get some beautiful pear and blue cheese as well. But quite frankly, creme brulee is my pick, or the panna cotta, whatever. but just make yourself one, and you've got plenty of sand. So there you go.
Oh, yeah.
Swift Light charcoal discs. Don't bother with anything else. You're in Australia now. Take my word for it. Swift Light.
Wait, are they the big ones or the small ones?
Oh, they're average size. They're comparative to the xoxoxo or the Three Kings, for instance.
I was just curious because I've only seen the big ones here.
Oh, they're our standard size. If you know, about that big.
Yeah, in the States, so we have ones that are this big, and then we have ones that are that big.
No.
You laugh. Well, we do.
I've never seen a tiny little one. That's cool. Something to look out for when I'm in the States.
Well, the smaller ones are really good for if you're trying to make black salt.
Oh, yeah.
It's just easier to break up. That's all.
See, what we do here in Australia when you make black salt is you actually go camping and have fire, and then you collect all the coal, and then you have really good quality coal to use, and it's collected through natural means. And if you are smart enough to use really high quality hardwoods, then you're even better. So you'll see my collection of charcoal when you get here.
Well, actually, now in the U.S., you can buy black salt on the shelf at Walmart. It's made from, yeah, it's called Hawaiian black salt. It's made from volcanic ash and stuff, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
Why would they sell it? Like, is there another use for black salt that I'm not aware of? Or is that
eat?
To eat.
Yeah, like it comes in a grinder.
Okay, right. You know what? I've got nothing. I can't imagine it. Like, and this is, I have charcoal toothpaste. I use charcoal toothpaste. So it's called Magic Mud. So it's really friendly, and the kids can use it as well. So I can understand that there would be a use for charcoal in different areas, and obviously charcoal is experiencing some kind of mystic renaissance at the moment, whereby you can gargle it, you can get activated charcoal, you can get non-activated charcoal, you can have charcoal face masks that now they sell in a little glow glam pot that'll cost you about $90 for a tiny little pot, and it's supposed to revolutionize your face, and like charcoal is it. But as far as eating it, that's the first I've heard of people actually eating it with the exception of the drink that they, used to do.
Well, they do have it in pill form, activated charcoal.
Yeah?
Yeah, and it binds all the toxins.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of it.
Yeah. So maybe that's like the whole draw for people to buy black salt in a shaker. I don't know. But one day I was in there and I was actually looking for Himalayan salt, I think it was, and I was like, what?
I would have been a bit like, what as well, just quite frankly.
Oh no, I bought it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna see how it goes. But
actually, all this salt talk reminds me of the fact that I don't own a salt lamp. I don't have a salt lamp in my home.
We have one that never gets shut off. It's always on, and we go through the bulbs like water.
I've never had one, and I've been quite attracted to them. I'm just not sure why I haven't got one yet, quite frankly. Well, other than perhaps my husband.
Well, another thing that we that you can what?
I just noticed there's something. Oh.
What? Oh my God.
Look.
What? I can't see.
Look. Look at this line. See this line?
Yeah.
Wait for it. Look at the line.
Oh, what's that from?
Do you know what that is from? Do you know what that is from?
No.
It's from my table, because my table is stained and I'm a witch and I rub all sorts of oil and shit on the table. The stain actually moves and then rubs off on the bottom of my on the bottom, well, there on the bottom of my cards.
Maybe you want to. Maybe you would like to think about an altar cloth or
No, I can't rub oil on an altar cloth. It's not the same thing.
No, you can't.
Botanica rosa.
Are you listening to me? You
No.
cannot rub oil on a tablecloth. No, but you can rub oil on the table, then put your cloth on, then put your spray on.
Yeah, but I use a different oil for every reading. So depending on what reading
Lord, no wonder your cards are.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, this person has got a relationship reading, so I'm come to me oils all over that, and you know, a little road opener, and maybe a little bit of like crown of success, and then I'm just like, oh my god, spirit guide oil, spirit guide, get in there, spirit guide, space clearing potion, stat, divination.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just had this like visual in my head of you with a freaking tool belt with like little oils like all around it and sprays, and you're like, you know, like cowboys with their holsters.
Yeah, like, I'm ready. That's why I have so much shit on my table. Like, my husband actually walked into my space. Well, he goes in there relatively regularly, right? But he's like, do you have this? These are the questions that the inane questions that I have to filter on a daily basis. Do you have to have so much stuff on your table? And I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, don't come into my space and tell me how to set up my crystal grids, and don't tell me what kind of oils I can use. I'm like, how dare you? He's like, it was just a question. I just didn't understand what it was all for. I'm like, it's to use. It's all to use. And I do rotate my stuff quite regularly. You know, my oils are rotated, so I get to use different oils for different seasons, and you know, all my crystals are rotated with the exception of a couple of my staples, you know, through the seasons. And
see, I use a lot of cloths, but that's because I make them, like these bags and stuff. Like I make all that. Like this is my handiwork, and so yeah,
you made that.
Yeah. I made this
Make
too.
me one.
I need a sewing machine, but yeah. Like so I use a lot of this kind of like minus the oils, but with different cloths for different things. And generally I pair the deck with a cloth, and also like the way that I use my decks, they're for specific things really. So like if somebody were to come to me and say, you know, I want to work on my shadow self, I would pick up a deck like this one, Terror the Vampire, because it's what dark decks are for. So yeah, so I pair like bags and cloths and things.
Yes.
Yeah, and the same with like my meditation spaces or altar spaces or whatever. Typically I'll make a cloth for whatever. And like my main, I don't have it with me here, but my main cloth that I use all the time on my altar at home is actually a conglomeration of, there's a piece of fabric that has eagles all over it and is sky, and then there's a blue piece of fabric that's waves, and then there's a green piece of fabric with like all kinds of leafy things on it, and then of course there's this red fabric as well, and it's all like in a square. So I mean, yeah, so that's like, I guess that's kind of unique. I don't know.
Yeah. See, that's nice. I don't have tarot bags for all of my tarot. The ones that don't live in their boxes, they live in their bags. And tarot cloths are something that I used to use especially back in my old house when I was reading on my smaller table, a smaller coffee table. So I have beautiful little owl printed, you know, readers cloths, and you will have a look at them. If you pick them up and have a look at all of them, they're oil stained. there's oil stains all over them. I do have altar cloths. I threw a bunch of my old cloths out when I did my big purging, but I kept a couple of larger cloths, and I have one that was a gift to me by KP, and it's a blue Indian silk altar cloth, altar runner, and it was specifically for my matron Emanja. So yeah, I used to change my altar cloths just in accordance with the Sabbath. And, you know, and now I need the surface because I dot grid. You know, I've done a video on this so you guys can sort of see what I do. Like I dot grid with the oils, and then I go in there with my bone and I actually etch sigils on top of my oils, and, you know, and then I sing, and then I drum, and then I ding a bell to it. Like the surface is actually really important. And if you see my side of the table, because I'm on my old dining room table. I always said I'm going to use that as an altar. One side is for art, the other side is for reading. And I put my tripod directly in the middle, and it's wearing out. You can actually see almost the white wood of it, because I do a lot of work on there. Do a lot of works, a lot of work. Speaking of works, lots of works, how's about the stretch tarot, guys? The stretch tarot. Look at this gorgy deck.
That is pretty. I don't think that I've really looked at that one.
It's so pretty. Look at the backing of it. Isn't it like Morgan Greer?
Yes.
So nice, but an absolutely really beautiful deck. It's got such a good tone. It's matte, thank goodness, so you don't get the high gloss. And it's all this like almost like collagey old school. It's not steampunk, although it has that. Steampunk Tarot by Barbara Moore and Ali Fell. Still one of my top 10 favorite decks. Best deck. The absolute best deck. And surprisingly, for such a heavily themed deck, it's an all-rounder. Wheel of Fortune. Look at how beautiful this is. It's just such a lovely deck. And you can read with it for any question whatsoever.
Yeah, that reminds me of the Vintage Oracle.
Oh, I love the Vintage Wisdom Oracle. Yeah, by Victoria Mosley. Yeah.
I mean, it's got a similar vibe to it.
Yes, it does. And these two look good together.
I bet you could use them in.
Beg your pardon?
I said I bet you could use them in tandem.
You would. You would absolutely use one as a start, one as a finish, one as a middle, one as a finish, because those who know me know that I start with soul cards.
I'm in trouble, y'all. I'm actually going to go see AV at the end of the month in March, and I'm a little nervous. Oh, gosh. I'm going to get there.
I'm going to go through the remainder of my collection. I've been getting rid of decks, people. I've been getting rid of decks.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, look at Sun and Moon. FYI, Sun and Moon, I love it so much. Oh, I love this deck so much. And I do want the tarot in the tin version, because it does have a black, it has a black border and it's a lot smaller. I would like to have that one in my bag. And I'd like to have another one in both, I would like one in both my cars, one in my bag, one as a spare on my shelf. Yeah, just a very, very, very good deck. A deck that I find, while it's very soft based, it's such a kind deck to me. It speaks my language. It knows that while I'm a bit sassy, I do like a warm hug from time to time. And it gives me the warm hug that I need, and it puts things into perspective, and it's very on point, very honest deck for me. And you know what? Every day I grab my Hobonichi cousin, for all you who like to journal. This is a Foxy Fix. This is a Foxy Fix, A5 Foxy Fix. This is a journal cover, and inside it has an A5 Hobonichi, Tesho Cousin 2018, and this is my tarot journal. So I do some journaling in here, right? This is very personal journaling that I do in there. So I have that, and usually what you'll see is the sun and moon in that particular journal. And at the moment I'm working with this deck here. It's this deck here. This is the Mother Mary Oracle.
Never ever in my whole life thought I would hear those words come out of your mouth.
You and me both. This is my impressed look.
How do you, okay, so how do you like working with that archetype?
I don't. I flat out don't. That's why it's difficult for me to be here and do this and work with this deck, but I'm doing it because I am, at present, I'm working on the mother wound, and some of my mother wound comes from my culture. My culture is Brazilian, and their view on mothers, their view on Mary, on Nossa Senhora de Conceição, and, you know, the Black Madonna, very integrated into my culture. And so I felt like I really had to go there. And I will say this as honestly as I can. I find the archetype of Mary and what she conjures quite oppressive. But at the same time, it's not the archetype itself that's oppressive. It's the culture around it that's oppressive. Like, if you can sort of, you know, make your way through the thicket of shadow and associated with culture and cultural perception and religious perception, then you will find a much more pure version of Mary and her various archetypes. And she does stand for the Great Mother in one aspect. But getting to that point of recognition can be quite challenging. It's been challenging for me. And I've been talking about this deck a little bit on social media, and I've said that it's annoyingly nourishing because, quite frankly, if you've read the guidebook, it's the language, actually, I find it really triggering. It's, you know, Heavenly Father and Mother Mary and divine grace, and, you know, and words that to me feel Christianized, and concepts that to me feel Christianized, and I have no space in me for that. There's nothing from that particular faith or religion that I'm interested in. There's just nothing. And I'm sorry if that's offensive in any way, but it's just not a religion that nourishes me or that makes me feel peace and joy and comfort. And, you know, that's just my story, and your story might be totally different. You know what I mean? But this has definitely got a lot of stigma attached to it. And I'm still working with it. I've actually started, you know, I've started drawing cards for my coven from this deck as well, because I want to get a much more even perspective on the deck.
I have a question about the deck. So, so sometimes when there's like Mother Mary things, the archetype of Mary Magdalene is also included. Is that included in that deck as well, or no?
Well, I'll show you what this deck is all about. So you've got, let me just go through a couple of the titles so you can get a gist of what it is. Like, this one here is the Lady of the Sacred Her, Our Lady of the Sacred Her, Our Lady of Innocence, Our Lady of Rose Child, here, Our Lady of Holy Fire, Quiet Blossoming, Star Blossom, Peaceful Change, just ripening on the vine, Blessings Bestowed, Ocean of Rebirth. And here, this is probably the one that's most closely associated to the Black Madonna, is Our Lady of the Dark Mysteries. And so when you read, I've actually pulled that one, and when you read the companion text to it, you will find that there's a bit there about it. But yeah, so there's a lot of there's a lot. It's heavy. Like, it feels really heavy. And I've got a lot to say about this, but at the moment I'm not quite prepared to say it just yet because I haven't made up my mind completely, and I'm still resisting it. I'm still very resistant.
And the funny thing is, or the funny thing to me is, it's no secret I grew up Catholic, and when I say I grew up Catholic, I mean I grew up very Catholic. We went to church every single Sunday, earliest mass possible, definitely all the holidays. And then when I got older, I ended up going to private Catholic school, where we had mass. We had mass on Fridays, and yeah, it was good old time. But interestingly enough, not so much me, but when my parents were young, they used to get teased by Protestants because Mary was such a prominent figure for Catholics that they were seen as worshiping an idol. And oh yeah, there were children who were not allowed that there were kids in my mother's neighborhood who she was banned from playing with because their parents said, no, you can't play with her. They worship idols, false idols and all this. And my mom being little, she's like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. And she didn't understand why she's only like 7 years old, 6, 7 years old. So she didn't understand why this little girl couldn't play with her because of her religion. And she, my mom being the age that she was, she simply was like, but they're just statues. Like, we don't pray to them. We don't, whatever, but it didn't matter. So in all of this, I guess the point is that even in Christianity, there's so many different sects of Christianity that the way that pagans are looked at or perceived, no matter which, whatever title, label, whatever that you claim to be under this, huge pagan umbrella, I think there's misconception all the way around because
all the way around.
Yeah.
So and your culture and your tribe and your family, they'll all influence that perception. And so if you've grown up with a particular idea of any, and this is not just Mary, it's any deity from a cross-cultural perspective, you may already have a negative perception of that deity and feel uncomfortable, when you hear the name or the mention or see the imagery of that deity, and yet never really understand why. Now, I don't have an aversion to the archetype of Jesus Christ. I grew up in a house with this massive tapestry of Jesus Christ with a crown holding his heart like this. And I used to think to myself, what a disturbing image. That's all I thought. Growing up, I just thought to myself, but I'm so familiar with it. Brazil is a very Christianized country. And so there's lots and lots of churches. You go out into the beach where I grew up, where we had our beach house. There is a massive statue in the water of Iemanjá. She is just as integrated into the culture as Mary or Jesus is. And in some extensions, people look to Iemanjá as a facet of Mother Mary because she is a mother Orisha. She's blue, she's passive, she's denoted, she's caring, she looks after the children. People will wade out in low tide and leave offerings at the feet of this beautiful statue in the same way that they would any other sort of deity across the world. And, Iemanjá's my matron Orisha. And so I've got business with Mary.
Well, and it's interesting too, because when I was growing up, when I was really little, I didn't understand why we had prayers to Mary. I was just like, well, I remember asking my dad, like, what's the big, like, why do we do that? And, but the way that he explained it to me was interesting, because as I developed spiritually and I changed paths and found my practice, what I found crazy was even at that age, the way that it was explained to me, I basically was in my head, like I always thought, oh, okay, I get it. So you have God and then you have Mary. Like they were male and female deity as far as I was concerned. So
Yeah,
it's just
that's exactly right.
these things.
It's you know, and the role that Mary plays, you know, from a cross cultural perspective, you know, is insane. Like very embedded into religion, ideologies, spiritual practice, folk practices. Like it's not uncommon to see practitioners of Umbanda or Candomblé, you know, praying to Mary or doing their spellcraft in the name of the Holy Mother, you know. There's, you know, and you look even across, say, let's say traditional Cornish witchcraft, for instance. If you've ever read anything by Gemma Gary, you'll know the Salter's Charm or something like that, and it's a book of Catholic charms in association with practices of Cornish witchcraft. It's killer, guys. It's absolutely killer.
Mm-hmm.
Gemma Gary, by the way, extremely highly recommend her books on traditional magic and Cornish witchcraft. Start with the Book of Ways. Is it Book of? Is it? I've read too many of her books now. The Book of Cornish Ways.
Yeah, and as far as Catholicism goes, that to me, that was just my earliest exposure to sympathetic and ceremonial magic.
Yeah.
Like when you actually break it down, when you actually figure out, you know, when you get into your practice and you start learning about sympathetic magic and, you know, all these different ceremonial magic and stuff, and then you go back to the way that you grew up and you're like, holy shit, like this is how I grew up and I didn't even know it.
Oh, yeah. And Sienda has just written Problem in My Culture. She addresses you and I. Is the assimilation to promote adoption of Catholicism. Look at Catholic holy days and
Oh yeah.
And I rest you. Yeah.
I mean, that's since time immemorial. That's since monotheism. I mean, and the reason that is because that's, you know, probably the easiest way to convert people is if you align all of your days so that it's the same. So really, they don't really have to do anything except be like, oh, well, now I'm this. So
that's exactly right. I mean, you look carefully at, say, the goddess Bridget, and she,
you mean Saint Bridget?
She has she has a Catholic temple because she was so beloved by the native culture, so revered, so integrated into the native culture that they basically made her Bridget of Chaldea, and there's a little church for her in the name of Saint Bridget. That's right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just can't. You can't kill them off. They're that ingrained that you just can't get rid of them. They just have to adopt them.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not all. Yes, Christianity did those things, but pagans and people of other faiths aren't and remain non-ignorant because, like, for instance, when voodoo and Haitian voodoo and hoodoo practices and came over from Africa, they utilized the Christian system to continue their faith, the way that to preserve their faith, the way that they believed already. Does that make sense? So a lot of the Catholic saints actually represent Yoruban deity or things in their culture. So
it's called deity masking. That could happen. So you will find so in Yoruba culture specifically, Macumba Candomblé, even, you know, you could stretch that out to anyone who works with the Odisha, essentially, and you will find that, you know, St. Barbara is innocent of the holy, holy fire, you know, and St. George is Ogun, and Jesus, that's Oshala, that's Father Deity, that's creationist energy. And, you know, you can go through the entire branch of the Odisha and you will find a Catholic association. And that's what they did, you know, it was a form of survival. The, you know, we got taught a lot about, you know, Native American, not Native South American, I should say, Yoruban culture, because that's what they teach us at school in Brazil. And just the evolution of their dance, which, you know, which is now, what is it called? Capoeira. So many people would be familiar with capoeira. It looks like a dance because if it looked like a martial art, it would be considered dangerous and you wouldn't be able to do it. So, wow. Yeah, so there is lots and lots of little sneaky little somethings, and some of me just really admires the entire process in the way, because, you know, a culture wanted to hold on to their faith so much that they knew that the only way that they could do that and still remain safe is to compromise to a degree, but keeping with the values. And so if you grow up in one of these areas that work with the Odisha in such a modern way, you will still know of their Yoruba culture, you'll still know of their history, and you'll still know, you know, some of their songs. Sometimes they'll even know their songs. These days it's harder to find people who know their songs, but there's lots and lots and lots of songs in Yoruba and in Portuguese, and, you know, there's these beautiful songs that they're old world songs. You know, I know some Yoruba songs, and they were taught to me by my grandmother, and, you know, my mother helps me to make sure that I retain them. And just, yeah, it's a respectful passing of, it's a bardic tradition, isn't it, in that way? If you're taught a song or a story and you can perpetuate that story in some regard, then it's bardic.
Do you know, do you know how I learned some of the stories of the Bible? When I was little. I don't know where they came from. I don't know how my parents knew them. I don't know. But I was taught old spirituals, slave spirituals, songs. And it was like the whole book of Genesis. And they would sing them to me and I would sing them back. And that's how I learned the whole book of Genesis. And I'm like, when I got older, I was like, how the hell did they know those? Like, where do they even come from? Like, and I still don't know, but I found that really interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I find religion and culture extremely interesting.
Or something, I don't know.
I find religion and culture really interesting. No one culture is ever 100% innocent. No one religion is ever 100% innocent. There's always a story to be told on both sides. And I guess, you know, the one that you resonate with, the culture that you're in, the religion that you practice and that you resonate with is the one that has somehow found peace in your heart. And, you know, I like to expand on what I know. I like to make myself uncomfortable from time to time. I believe that's how we make each other grow. That's how I make myself grow, at least. And so working with Mary, I don't want to be triggered by anything. You know, it's part of my journey to self-mastery is to not be triggered by anything. I don't want to be triggered. I don't want a person to say a name around me. I don't want them to say a practice around me, and for me to get triggered and go on the defensive, because, you know, rewind about 10 years, and if you had come up to me and said the name Jesus or Mother Mary, you and I would have had a very different conversation. And so I have experiences with the Catholic faith in my tradition being incredibly cruel to myself and my family. So I have an issue there. That's my shadow. That's my issue that I have to navigate. And at the very heart of that, I'm working with the archetype of Mary to do that as I work on the mother wound, which is just a whole other story. But it's my journey to self-mastery. It's how I make sure that I'm not a giant asshole, essentially.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how we went from tarot to Jesus and
we went through the Mother Mary oracle. That's how everyone gets there.
Why do you even own that, might I ask?
It was a gift.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's not something I would see you being like, I think I'm gonna buy this.
Well, somebody bought it for me to be a part of my my Alana Fairchild's collection.
Ah, okay.
So it's an Alana Fairchild deck, and I own it as that part. I own a lot of her decks because I collect her stuff. I don't own her crystal oracles. I just got to the point where I'm just, Lana, I draw the line. I'm just drawing the line now, you know? But I did have this one, and I was contemplating getting rid of it because I'm going through my decks and I'm trying to cull them. But before I do, I want to make sure that I get a workout. I give them a really good workout and determine whether or not they're in my collection for a reason. And just because I haven't given them the time of day really up until this point, it's neither here nor there. I'm going to work with each and every one and then send them on their merry way. So if I don't like them, that is. And if I like them, I'm going to keep them.
Send them on their merry way.
Send them on their merry way. Actually, as we're talking about shadow and religion, I'm gonna bring something up because as part of my shadow work that I'm doing, I'm working with my mother wound, working with the Mother Mary archetype, pushing myself not to be an arsehole, in short. I'm doing tarot and shadow work for activation of your dynamic power. And this is by Benabel Wen. This is a course that you do, and Wen put this together as part of Tarot Summer School. You can see this. It's not a book that you can just go out and buy. Tarot Summer School 2017. So I have been doing this, and I have been journaling in my Moleskine. This is my first Moleskine. I'm a real fan of grid paper, dot grid and grid. I hate lines, and blank pages for me for art. So yeah, I've been really getting into this one. And I actually think that what she has put together in this damn book is pretty fucking genius. You've got this, don't you, Allorah?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, I've looked at it and went, I'm fucking overwhelmed. Like, see, you can't say that this is a course by Wen. You have to say, like, this is going to be 2 years of your life by Wen. Because she's just so thorough and so comprehensive and so intelligent.
Information overload.
Yeah. And unfortunately, because I am also in uni, I don't get the necessary time to dedicate to things like that right now. I wish I did, but I don't. Yeah. But hell, I have her planner around here somewhere, and that's enough for me right now because I'm just like, oh, there's this in there and this in there.
I really need to get a hold of her planner. I'm just waiting until you get here before I do that.
What? Why?
Because
I know why. I know why. Okay, for those of you who don't know,
I'm so hopeless with it.
Anything that needs to be printed from lulu.com, yeah, Avalon never does any of that. She just comes to me and says, I need you to zip
It's so true. It's so true. It's so true. I've got some, you know what, I've got some other decks that I'm going to talk about here in keeping with this one. I've just talked about, tarot and the shadow work by Wen. We've been talking about the Mother Mary Oracle because let's fucking face it, that was a heavy conversation. Can we just all have a little spritz? Does anyone want to have like a little, just like spritz your face, like a face clearing potion right there? I need some spirit guide. I just want some spirit guides on. We just accidentally went in deep, y'all.
Oh my God, you said y'all.
Stressed me out. The times. So when I started doing this, right, I commit to something, right? I decided this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to open myself up to it. I'm going to commit to it. That's why I'm doing, BWENs. That's why I'm working with Mother Mary. So I went out and I specifically went looking for a deck that I believe that I could work with parallel to my with my healing shadow work journey. And this is very unlike me. I went into my New Age store. That's not the unlike me part. I'm there quite often. I'm very good friends with the owner. She loves me. And I saw this, heal yourself reading cards. This rewinds back about 2 months and I would have just gone, oh, you know, the title is naff. There's nothing appealing about it. I wouldn't have even looked sideways at this deck, right? Because quite frankly, I'm a bit of a judgmental bitch. So I decided, no, I'm committed. I'm open. I'm going to do this. And so I picked this up along with the Earth Warriors Oracle by Alana Fairchild. I haven't even started work with that and I already want to trade it. I'm going to trade it if anyone wants to trade it with me, because I was disappointed. There's just something about it. I'm not prepared to say it on camera. I'll say it to you behind the scenes and you'll be like, I get it. But onto this one. This is Heal Yourself Reading Cards, Intuitive Guidance to Transform Your Soul by Ina Segal. Whew, I recommend this deck, guys. I recommend it. I recommend it 20 times over. I recommend that shit. I recommend it. And I'm going to show you some of the images and you're going to be like, oh my God. It lacks diversity. I'll say this straight off the mark. There is, whatever. Where are we? Here. Okay. So, beautiful imagery, absolutely beautiful imagery. And then the book itself is so straightforward. Look, if you like the Norse goddess Hel, you'll probably really resonate with that image. Mm. And there is just one after the other. They're really, really exciting, beautiful images, exciting cards. The book itself is this. This is what you get. You get the image and then you get one page, and in the bottom you'll have a little meditation or a little task to do. It will have a brief description of, of the energies of the card and what they're meant to trigger or represent or can activate, whatever. And then you'll have a little exercise down the bottom. And I found this deck to be incredibly on point, like incredibly on point. I used this deck with my coven as well. We did daily draws. I did daily draws and sent the girls out their daily draws every day, and I got really good feedback from each and every one saying, wow, that deck is on point. Like, it is on point. And if you're interested in doing any kind of shadow work, it's a kind of version of it. It's a much kinder version of it.
What?
That's my story. That's my story. I recommend my last two decks. This is my newest one. Have you seen this one? It's been around forever, Laura. It's the Goddess Knowledge Cards by Susan Seddon-Boulay. Now, I haven't actually worked with this deck yet, but I just have a really good feeling that it's good for deity study, mostly because the actual, and I can't even open it. I can't open it now. Like, it doesn't want to go out. Oh no, here, I got it. The cards themselves, oh shit, appear like this. So you've got an image on one side, and then on the back you've actually got the description or the narrative of the goddess. Oh, nice. And yeah, and you've got that for, how many cards is it? 48 goddesses from Greek, Roman, Celtic, Native American, Egyptian, Middle Eastern, Scandinavian mythologies. So if you were the type of person that wanted to sort of head into deity study, then these actually could be really great little study cards. You could pull a card, commit a length of time to a particular deity and study the narrative. And that's, by the way, a really great way to study culture at the same time in a very passive sense. Once you start looking at the figures and their history and their religion, that they really, they elevated to deity status, then you'll learn a little bit about their ancient culture and their mentalities and such. Wouldn't you say, Miss Anthropology over there?
Yeah, and in fact, as you're talking about this, the gods and titans and goddesses and sirens decks. Not only do I use those for reading, but I actually use them more for deity study, calling in energies of specific deity, or even when I'm doing magical workings, I use them a lot in that kind of stuff as well. And those two, the two that I mentioned, I just love a lot because they are diverse. There's, I mean, from Asian culture to African culture to American culture, deity, Greek, what else is in there? There's all kinds in there. So they're really diverse, and the mythologies that come with them are really dense, and they're not super long, but they're long enough that you get a great sense of the deity, because a lot of times so we personify deity. We tend to do that because we're human beings, so we see them as like ourselves.
Divine extensions of ourselves.
Right, exactly. And one of the downfalls of that is that sometimes we look at like Hades or Ares as being, you know, not a good guy, so to speak. Or we look at Kali or Pele as being super destructive or whatever. But I think cards like the ones you showed and cards like the ones that I mentioned kind of help to make you realize that deity is very complex and complicated, and it's, you know, it's more than just this one thing that they're about.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is exactly right. Like, it takes years and years to cement relationships with deity. At least that's my opinion. I mean, for other people, it could be very, very different. But I like to learn absolutely everything that I can possibly learn. And I don't think that you can ever learn it all either. I think that you can sometimes meet people that through their experience will teach you even a little bit more. Doesn't matter how long you've been at it, you know, somebody's always got something to teach you. I think deity is one of those, you know, very complex things. See, I do deity readings through my Etsy store. It's one of the services that I offer. It's not a deity reading per se. It's a form of spirit work to help you connect with a deity, either a matron, patron, or spirit guide. In some cases, what will happen is a deity will step forward in a teacher capacity. And this is something that happens in my culture in Macumba, where you will have a goddess, for instance, sitting in your matron seat, and they're there for a prolonged period of time. Could be a short period of time, could be a long period of time, but they're there specifically to guide you through a situation or multiple situations in your life that are going to assist you, to teach you in order to prepare you for your matron, for working with your matron. By the time you reach that matron status, and this has been the case for me, and not everyone has the same story, but by the time you reach your matron status, or that place with your matron, you're much more cemented into who you are. You know, you're living a much more authentic version of yourself. And so, you know, these readings, these spirit sessions that I do for people are a way to connect them with their matrons, their patrons, their teacher deity, their spirit guides, things of that nature. But it's not to replace your own personal work, the cultivation of that work. You know, I can pinpoint the energy for you, and then I tell people, you know, research the mythology, look at the attributes, you know, understand the culture, set up an altar, you know, make it really simple until you learn more, and make it really, really simple, and just do the work and do the study. And the more you learn, the more you're going to be able to connect with that particular energy. And it's a beautiful thing. Either that was a plane. It's all right. It was Ezra. Yeah, so it's one of those situations that, you know, in order to assist you, it even gets you walking a spirit path. You know, the moment you start studying deity, even if you're using cards as a prompt, either these ones, another deck, Doreen Virtue, actually, I'm ashamed to say it, has the Goddess Guidance Oracle, and it's got another selection of deity in there, and all you need is just the pictorial aspect of it, and then you go off and you find more information. Keep beautiful big journals, do artwork, really immerse yourself in the process and learn as much as you can, and you'll be surprised what comes of it. You'll learn so much about culture, you'll learn so much about magic, you'll learn so much about yourself and the people around you and the energies that influence you, and it's incredible. It's an incredible experience. So that's in case I think somebody asked, that's the Goddess Knowledge Cards, paintings by Susan Seddon-Boulay, text by Michael Babcock.
I love when we talk about deity so much.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm a big fan.
I'm a big fan.
People, not a big fan. No, I'm just I did post that on my Insta though. That was hilarious. People, not a big fan.
Oh
my God.
I know what you mean. You know what? In keeping with your oracle, what was it called?
Which one?
The one by Debbie Anderson.
Vibrational energy.
Vibrational energy oracle, and you said that was really balanced. It prompted me to get up to get this oracle here, and this is the Oracle of Echoes by Anaturian.
Anaturian,
everyone knows who Anna is. This deck is hands down one of the best oracle decks that you will ever come across in your entire life. How's that for a statement? How's that for a statement?
It's pretty bold.
And I say this because it is a mix, like when I got this deck, it's a mix of soul cards and it's a mix of pictorial oracle, imagery, right? Because she does have, that's just the title card, but here she has spirit heals, so she does have keywords on them. But if you didn't look at the keywords, your intuition would go hunting for that. It would just feel it because it's very emotive. This is a gift. Like some of the cards here, she's got God speak. She's also got Goddess speak, by the way, just so you know. She has sorrow. She has death. I contributed to some of these cards, just so you know, like what things should I depict? And I believe that I put through, look, breakthrough. Isn't that fabulous? Awaken in a force. Look at that dragon. But we've got loss, imperfect beauty. There's a story behind this. There's a story behind this. And it's a very, very beautiful story. It's not mine to tell. Ancestors. I think that might have been one of mine. Shadow self.
Ooh.
There's a look within. There's definitely one here that was here. This one was one of mine. Self-involved. That came from somewhere. There's such, highs and lows. There's such symbiosis. And it's a beautifully balanced deck. I've got to say, it's absolutely stunning to read with this deck. You've got a very, very, very balanced deck. You could live your whole life with just this oracle deck and a tarot deck, and you'd be okay. You wouldn't yearn for much more. Right.
Maybe the bone, stone, and flesh. Maybe.
Beg pardon?
Maybe the bone, stone, and earth flesh I might yearn for.
Yeah.
I have connections to that deck as well.
You have connections to what deck?
Your deck.
Oh, of course you do.
She's like, what deck? I'm sorry, I'm making what?
Until I'm holding it in my hands, it's not a reality to me just yet. Everything feels very dreamy. Everything's very digital at the moment.
Oh, Lord.
But I've got to say that I'm very excited for the Bone Stone. I'm working away at the Bone Stone. I've got 17,000 plus words written in the guidebook, and I'm only up to the star. So you can imagine.
But it's such, I mean, of course it's personal for you because you're the creator, but for me and Chase and Anna and everybody that watches, that contributes, that gives an idea or anything like that. I mean, it's become a very personal deck to a lot of people. I know for Chase and I, like, whenever we look at certain cards, like I see him in the star card, and he sees me in the hermit card, and then me and him and Anna came up with the Brusha card for you, and
I'm in there. So, I'm in my own deck.
I know. I love it.
And there's a story behind that, folks. It's not quite the, oh my God, she put herself in a deck. No, that card was a surprise that was created behind my back.
No, you can blame me and Chase and Anna.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I've got to say, yeah, it's coming along beautifully. It's up for pre-order. There's just under 300 copies left. It will sell out, and judging by how much work there was to do, I'm not in a hurry to list anymore. Don't ask me any more listing questions. I get chastised. I get chastised every time I list more decks. People call me evil things, and so I'm just not yeah, it's not a thing for me right now. So that's what's happening. So I've got just under 300. So tell your friends. Tell your friends so I can cap this pre-order and gets to printing. Shall we sling some cards to finish off our beautiful little tarot chat?
Do what?
Should we sling some cards?
Yeah.
What deck are you going to use?
Can you stop huffing?
You need to get a really deep sniff. It's called the sniff box.
You have a snuff box as well.
Oh.
It's right here. It's on your hand. This part of your hand. And they call it a snuff box because people used to put pipe tobacco there and put it in their pipe. Never mind. I don't know why I know that.
That's interesting. That's interesting. That's very cool.
Random shit.
Oh, you know what? As you're choosing your deck, can we just, because you've already talked about Tarot of the Vampires, can we just talk a little bit about Phantasmagoria and just say this really is a prized piece of work? That I work with Phantasmagoria in association with the Sun and Moon Tarot. So it's, while the imagery itself is specific to Tarot of the Vampires, the information that he puts for each of the cards is universal. So, brilliant.
Okay, so I'm going to use the new air elements because you don't have that one on your side out. You don't have it out, so.
No.
Because I was going to use the Naked Heart, but then I was like, well, you've got that one and you don't have this one out, so.
Yeah, I haven't shuffled mine yet, so I'm not going to be using the Naked Heart. I might use the Light Visions. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some space here for myself because I've got quite a few, and I'm going to put the kettle on. So if you want to make yourself a cuppa, Allorah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna quieten my mic and my screen, and I'll just get myself ready to do a little card sling and create a little bit of space and go from there. Okay, everyone good? We'll be back in like 5 minutes.
Yep. Intermission. Oh, and get your questions ready, and remember, type in all caps.
Yes. Yeah, all caps. 4 questions. We're going to be slinging them. We're going to answer them really quickly, and it's going to be so much fun. Okay?
Okay.
All right, beautiful people. So Allorah's just getting herself ready. I've made myself a nice cuppa. I've topped up my water bottle. I've cleared some space because I had a few decks out, and I've decided to keep out the Sun and Moon, the Light Visions Tarot, and the Oracle of Echoes, and give them a red hot go. I'm breaking in the Light Visions Tarot, so I've not used it for any client readings yet. I literally unboxed it yesterday, and so I've only used it for two 3 card readings for myself. Excuse me, and I just face clear potion around me, which I feel is something that I've already done halfway through. More perfume. Oh, a little bit more spirit guide here. So menthol fresh. And then I shall hold my two cozy divination stones. Let's get it done. Hold some of that wisdom. Have a little sniff pot.
Have a little sniff pot.
Little sniff pot.
You just need to insert like some of those beads up your nose at this point.
I love it. I love the smell of this so much. I'm so obsessed. My husband's like, last night my daughter got up a couple of times through the night, and I was pissed off by this. She did it 4 times, and by the second, third time, I was like, patience is gone. You know, patience for this is gone. And she got up because she was essentially hungry through the night. She refused to eat her dinner. I tried to give her a second dinner. She didn't eat, so it was a pain in the ass. Anyway, halfway through the night, the last time, on the last one, I'm like, let me just give you a little daddy's little sniff. And she had a sniff, didn't get up again. She was done. That was it, all over and over. So I'm like, that's all she needed, just a little aromatherapy. Right. What have we got here? We personify, define flaws. It would be hard to grasp otherwise. Oh, Luna Solara, you snuck in there. I didn't even see you there. What's the best way to ground manifest in my life when I'm full of hot air, literally no earth element in my chart? I need strategies. Shall we, you've already got that down. Good on you, friend.
Yeah, hang on just one second. Let me copy these ones that are here.
I just have to shift my little pop-out bubble. I better start shuffling.
All right. I feel like we should have played music during intermission. Like some Mummers Dance, some Lorena McKenna.
I'm a big fan of that Polish ladies group, that Laboratorium.
Yeah.
You know that one? I'm a big fan.
Could have done that.
Evior.
Have you heard of Wild Light or Elephant Revival? They're really good.
I have not.
Okay. All right, Nat. By the way, side note, I just wanted to let you know, Natalie, that River's postcard came. So I know that you were wondering about that. It came yesterday.
Oh, you know what? Savannah's been working hard on her little response to River. So,
Aww.
yeah. She's like, but she really likes art, Mum.
Okay, what is this question?
Natalie. Okay, let me highlight the question to keep it separate, just for myself. Okay, so we've got Natalie.
Lord.
Oh.
What did you get?
I got a trump.
Maybe you should go first.
Okay, I got strength. Yeah. I quite like strength as harnessing the authentic fire. So just because you don't have earth, it doesn't mean that you can't necessarily ground. You just might have to learn to ground through other elements. And I find that, you know, every element can offer an opportunity to ground. But when you express creative fire, when you express obstinate fire, when you express aggressive fire, when you express sexual fire, you essentially ground into the moment. It's a magical moment that you're grounding into, but you do ground into that moment. Allorah and I were just talking about authenticity and the triangle of power and fire and all this sort of shit before we even went online. So this speaks volumes. In another context, it also talks about you having to find your authentic mode of expression without earth, because you don't have any in your chart. You don't necessarily, that's not part of your path. You might just have to learn to express yourself in a much more grounded sense, you know, through completely alternative means for you sassy little vixen. So
okay, so everything that you're saying, I had 2 cards come up for me, and you just like gave them context. So I have the Son of Air. So that's essentially the Page of Swords. And then, or no, wait, I'm sorry, Knight of Swords. And then the 7 of Wands. So what this is saying to you is, I know that it's the Knight. It's a very swift moving card, but I feel like it's more in general the Suit of Swords. So it's telling you to use your head. And then we have the 7 of Wands, which is fire. So use your head and really start learning and researching and paying attention to how you can use, like Avalon said, how you can use other elements to ground yourself, because you got the Strength card, which is associated with fire. I got a card that's associated with fire, and I got a card that's associated with air. So obviously your answer lies in the other elements in your chart. So doesn't necessarily, just because you lack one thing doesn't necessarily mean that you lack the means by which to be grounded. Does that make sense?
Decks of Wands. That's what you wrote.
What? What? No, said 7. 7. Lord.
Oh my gosh. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. All right. So far, let's put that one into the center of the pack. And let's get going on to the next one, which is Erica Justin. Let me highlight that effectively. I feel like my dad when I come in there like this. It's got the thing that tell. It's so cute.
Okay, what's the next one?
Erica Justine is nursing, healing the right path for me. No. Ember K. Yeah, Ember K. Should I focus on what should I focus on in order to get out on my own? Is that right? What should I focus on in order to get out on my own? Okay.
What is that one?
Can I go first, please?
Yeah.
I got the 10 of Swords. Okay, this is a very cut your cords kind of moment. Not that the 10 of Swords necessarily represents the cutting of cords, but it does represent the bad end to a bad situation, or even a just a definitive end through which to put those tendrils of your life that might have been like pulling at your subconscious in one way or another to bed. So I like this card for the cutting of cords, to allow you to distance yourself from a situation, thus beginning a new chapter in your life. And that is something that I would recommend. I would recommend that you determine exactly what influences are at play in your life at the moment that you're particularly connected to, and determine for yourself in that moment, have a genuine, honest conversation with yourself in that moment to figure out if that is serving your best interest, if that's going to assist you to transition into a place that you would much rather be. Is that assisting you to become a much more authentic version of yourself? Is that giving you power? Is it, what kind of connections do you have in your life? And then my recommendation would be to cut cords with anything that no longer serves your best interest, so that you can make that step to getting out there on your own without the overarching influence of another, particularly that influence in the mindscape. Because, swords, we're talking about air, we can talk about thought forms, communications, our interpersonal dialogues with ourselves. And a lot of that stuff is influenced by the tribe that we keep around us. And you can look at tribe in any one way, like culture, friendships, work-related, attachments, things like that. So just make sure that you're determining what's working and what's no longer working. And if you even second guess it, if you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't really know, I'm not sure, just cut it. Cut that fucking shit. Just cut it. Let yourself loose. Let yourself be free. That's my 10 of swords.
So you got that, and I got the Father of Air, or the King of Swords reversed. So we love reversals around here because we get full penetration. Oh gosh. Okay, so I feel like this is twofold. So first and foremost, I feel like you have to let go of expectations of what getting out on your own is going to be like, and how it's going to happen. Because the Father of Air, or the King of Swords, is somebody who is very much in control, very analytical, very logical, very rational, but has to be in control of the situation. And when he comes up reversed, it's indicative to me that you're trying to control too many things about the situation. And maybe if you back off a little bit and loosen the reins and just allow things to come in, you'll have an easier time with it. And that's one aspect of this card that I'm picking up. The other aspect of this card is I definitely think that there is a group of, or men or masculine energies that are that you're tied to, that you're tying yourself to, that are keeping you from moving forward with that step. And I don't know this is necessarily one particular person. It may be, a group of guys that you're friends with or something. I don't know. But I would say examine your male, the male folks in your life, and evaluate their role in what you're trying to do. And if they are promoting it or if they are hindering it. And if, like Avalon said, if they're hindering it, just fucking cut that shit. But so that, and what? Everybody loves when we sling cards because we come out with some crazy things. Penetration.
Lovely reversals. I don't have any reversals in the Light of Visions tarot because it's new to me. I like to work it upright and then figure out if it's a card, if it's a deck that wants to be reversed.
No, there's nothing in here that's reversed. It flipped out and reversed itself.
Perfect. That's even better.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I've just created a mess here. Okay, just got crazy. It's really got crazy. So who are we doing next? Erica. Is nursing, healing the right path for me to go down?
Can you guys put your questions in capitals? Because I'm not sure. Hold on. There's a bunch of questions here, but I don't. Let's see. I'm gonna have to do that and okay, what's the next question? Where are we at?
We're at Erica. Justine, nursing. Is nursing / healing the right path for me to go down? Yes. my tarot card said yes. What did your tarot card say, Laura?
My tarot cards are being sassy.
Ooh, how sassy.
They want to all be reversed today. Maybe they're trying to give me a hint that I need to, I don't know, read more reversals. I don't know. Or maybe that I need to brush up. So I got the moon reversed.
Interesting.
So that's also yes, but it's, so the moon upright, I think about things being hidden, fears, etc., etc. And the moon is reversed. We're talking about everything coming into the light, no secrets, etc. So I would say yes, definitely.
Yeah. And mine was the Ace of Swords, so that really supports the new beginning, the seed of beginnings, and academia could be very well reflected in this. The medical field is definitely one that you will find a lot of knives in, and a lot of needles, and a lot of swords, essentially, a lot of swords. I'm being quirky, but like, truth be told, like, it is a beautiful card for a yes in the field.
I love how, can I just pause this for a second? Because I have to say, I love how Natalie, whenever she comes into STW or any of our chats, she's always like, I need to know this. And the cards every time are like, you already know. And she's like, no. Okay, I'm sorry. Am I on the
My
right?
tarot cards say you already know, Natalie.
Am I on the path for my tarot business? The wonder of nature.
I'm on the path to my tarot business.
Am I on the right path for my tarot business?
Yes. My tarot card said yes. So I got the Queen of Pentacles.
Hold on. You're going too fast, lady.
Okay, from the next ones, you can go first because I've just been hogging first place.
Okay, well, mine aren't pulling, so. Okay, next question.
You're not feeling it? Well, I'll elaborate a little bit because the Queen of Pentacles is one of the tarot cord, of course, and like part of her magic is the aspect of cultivation. She's a very fruitful cultivator, and she's generally sought as or looked at to be very, very resourceful. So of course Pentacles represents resources. The Queen is right up there in control of those resources. For her, it's the implementation of those resources, the intention setting, and you know, the planting of seeds in a much more structured way. And she has this incredible patience that allows her to sit back, take pleasure in the work that she's doing, and then watch that work flourish in its own right. So I think that if you take a patient approach to it and you just continue to do what you love and infuse it with passion and water it with good amounts of education and resources, like upskill and do the necessary things, then I think that you will have a very fruitful tarot business as a result of that. But effort needs to be put in. Pentacles is about work, and you know, you really can't get there unless you're prepared to put that good work in. But the Queen of Swords the Queen of Pentacles, I should say, is a great indicator of the fact that you're going to be prepared to do that. You're going to meet that challenge. You're going to do so with gusto. You're going to revel in the experience of that, and you're going to, you know, really immerse yourself in the beauty of what tarot is for you, finding that authentic niche within tarot that is suitable for you, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, my cards don't want to read for that. Neither deck. I was like, alrighty then. I shuffled the other one, and I was like, well, maybe this will work. Nope.
It is what it is. Christina D, will my meeting tomorrow lead to a nice job for me?
Whoa. Why are they all coming out upside down?
Change your deck. Change it. Get a new deck.
No, this is one reversed and one not. So this is
okay, that's fine.
Okay, so Three of Cups says celebration time, right? But you're at your meeting. Okay, so this is the Queen of Cups reversed. So at your meeting, don't get into your feels. That would be what this is indicative of for me. The Queen of Cups is very much an emotional, dreamy, imaginative, abstract thinker, and I know you, so as an artist, you're all of those things, but just kind of rein it in and keep it together and put a little bit of logical, a little bit of analytical in there. And yeah, I mean, it should lead to a nice job. You should be celebrating with some glasses of wine and some friends by the end of the day.
That is beautiful, and my card highly backs that up because I got the Ace of Pentacles. So that's a very good start in a field of work. Good resources, well in there. The seed is there. If you can just take on some of that wisdom from Allorah, just keep your weird side down for a little bit, you know. You did good. Said with love, Christina.
Yeah.
Looking at guys. Oh shit! I went to highlight one and I highlighted too many.
Looking for guidance on dealing with trust issues that cause me to put up walls in relationships. Whoo!
I'm gonna go with the Oracle of Echoes for this.
Man.
Chaos.
Continue.
You're an agent of chaos. Perhaps you like the drama. That's not a bad thing. That's not a criticism either. There are some people that are just naturally, they're naturally geared towards, you know, hectic situations. They're just wired that way, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a cycle. But what I would say is that you need to really stay away from chaotic situations, and there's oftentimes that point of recognition before you enter into a relationship or you integrate into a social circle where you can understand a little bit of the dynamics of that, either that person, the relationship, or the circle, the tribe, the culture, whatever it is that you're entering into. And there's a little pang there. Something tells you don't, but you do anyway, you know. And it's because you're called to it, you know, and you have to be able to recognize the whys and the hows of being called to chaos in such a way, and why situations end in such a way that leads you to, you know, to deal with these issues of trust and putting up of walls. There's something there that you're attracted to or that you are attracting, and something that needs to be examined very closely. So this would definitely be a card that would suggest a little shadow work needs to be done. You need to understand, you know, what cyclical patterns you're falling into, and determine for yourself how you can break these certain cycles, the ones that are influencing you or drawing you into these situations, and allow yourself to heal that aspect of yourself to effectively move beyond that pattern and live a much healthier, happier life as a result of that. So that's Chaos Cup.
And I thought it was a different deck that was wanting me to pull a card, but it was the Vibrational Oracle. But this is openness. So basically what this card is saying is, unfortunately, there's no, you know, that saying, like, to do it, you have to go through it. Well, in order to not put up those walls, you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable. You have to be open. You have to essentially hand somebody the ability to harm you. So until you do the shadow work and you're ready to do that, this will just keep happening. Short, sweet, and to the point. That was really heavy.
Sorry, mate.
Sorry.
Said with love. Always said with love.
Always said with love.
Champion. Oh, here I go again.
What?
Oh, I keep highlighting like whole entire passages.
Had a question.
Champion C.
That's champagne.
Champagne. Oh. See, guys, I am dyslexic. I'm telling you. Got a question.
What does it say? I keep attracting men that are not so good. And it is
a distraction from my path.
Do you want to know why this keeps happening? Like, is that what she's getting?
Champagne, could you rephrase your question? What you've actually done there is make a statement, and I just need to know if it's, you know, what part of that statement is the actual question. Would you like to know why it is that you're attracting men, or is it more something to do with your past? If you could just clarify that and type it in capitals, please. We're going to move on to Samantha.
She said yes.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. For the why.
Okay, why does she keep attracting? Okay, I'm going to go for Oracle of Echoes again.
Actually, no. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Oh, I got a warning.
Hold on. Whoa.
Okay, I've got two here, right? I've got the warning and I've got the Three of Pentacles. This is a beautiful Three of Pentacles where the guy's actually laying the brickwork. So he's building in the moment of building. For me, this is talking about developing a means of alert for yourself, the cultivation of something. And in this case, you need to be able to cultivate an early warning system for yourself. Nobody can tell you the hows and the whys of this for you. We all perceive things in a very different way through a very different lens. So what works for me is not necessarily going to work for you. But you do need to be able to cultivate a type of early warning system so that you know, and I would honestly recommend that by analyzing your pattern. At the moment, at the moment, you're attracting men. I've got the wrong one highlighted anyway. But at the moment, you're attracting men that are not so good for you. Why are you attracting men that are not so good for you? Is it because you are in a bit of a cycle of destruction? Do you need to build a bit of a warning system up in order to determine for yourself moving forward through every one of these relationships? Now, I have a feeling that Allorah is going to have one of my keys. One of the key cards to my reading right here. Yeah, you got one, don't you? Yeah. Okay. Fill that gap in for me.
Okay, so Queen of Cups upright. So I would say where Avalon's talking about an early warning system, I think that you may tend to get too attached too quickly. diving head first into the emotional stuff. And that may be like how you're attracting these guys that are not so good for you because they see a vulnerability. And then they're like, oh, well, she's already attached or he's already attached and I can just go and do whatever I please. And so I would say probably don't attach so quickly.
Yeah, there's a little bit of learning there. You've got to do the groundwork as well. Be prepared to really examine the nuts and bolts of the situation before you get in there. Like really determine what type of character that person is, and that will assist you to really like be grounded in the moment. Is what essentially what I'm saying. Very Oracle of Echo, smashing it with heaviness.
All right. Next question.
That's Samantha.
Yeah. Did I do the right thing with by leaving the father of my children? Y'all got some heavy stuff today.
Somebody give me a love question. I'm ready. Oh, I got a jumping card. I got the Emperor. I got the Emperor.
And I got the Lovers.
You got the Lovers. Okay. May I? Okay, so for me, this represents the oppressive force. So the Emperor is great at dictating. They have a natural fire. They're led by Aries. They're a fantastic organizer, structure, and you know, and essentially a great dictator. And so, you know, when an Arian, when an Emperor, for instance, a person of the Emperor archetype is in a position of governance, they're going to do astoundingly well. But when they're in a relationship, they're going to be oppressive. It's too much. It's too heavy. It's too all of the time. It's just too much, and it doesn't necessarily resonate with gentler types of personalities. So I would say that, you know, if this is indicative of the overarching situation and the personality of the partner in which you left, then I would say that generally yes. And since I know that Allorah is holding the Lovers card, I'm going to go with yes. But tarot cards say yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that these two cards are in tandem, and it's basically the story is that the father of your kids was oppressive, whether to you or to the children or whatever. And when I say oppressive, I don't necessarily mean physically oppressive. It could be emotionally, mentally, spiritually, etc. And the Lovers often represents, it doesn't always, but sometimes it represents the fact that there's two different choices, and you've chosen a different path than being with the father of your kids. Not so much in this imagery that you can see it, but typically the Lovers features three figures because it's more about a choice. And yeah, the Lovers is one of the trumps that can be difficult to read because sometimes, yes, it means the Lovers, and sometimes it means a choice. And in this case, it means a choice. And since the Emperor came up and you made that choice, I would say that yes, you made the decision.
Yeah. Also, think with the Lovers, it represents the ideal of the situation that was never achieved. Like perhaps it started out to be that amicability, that co-creative partnership, that synergy that can sometimes be the lover. But in the end, it ended up being one more dominant figure, and there wasn't that compatibility aspect anymore. So.
What's the best way to beat fear? Woo!
I'm thinking Oracle of Echo. No, I'll do light visions.
Let's see.
I like light visions. I like it. How many cards have I pulled from here now?
I have no idea. No, you're not going to read for me. Oh.
Okay.
What do you got over there?
You need to be hands-on. You need to take the bull by the horns. You need to like be confrontational, I suppose. Assert your force, assert your dominance over the situation. I guess it's the strong-handed approach is what you need. The authoritarian approach, the controlled approach. So for you, it's probably an aspect of control and gaining control over the situation to assist you to then overcome that fear aspect. What you got, Allorah?
Okay, so this is interesting. So I think that the cards are being funny again. So I pulled from the Vibrational Energy Oracle, and so Avalon has the very take the bull by the horns, be in charge, lead, etc. She has that card. 2 cards popped out for this situation, and each of them is a separate, different approach than what Avalon pulled, or they are for each other. So basically, the way that I would take this is there are several approaches to this, and it's not. There's no one way, one best way to beat fear, because that's a very broad question. So so this was the first one I got, which is snowflake. So this is indicative of going, hibernating, sitting on it, chilling out, not worrying about it, not thinking about it, just emptying your mind, being still in the moment, being present in the moment, not worrying about the future, not being afraid of whatever it is you're afraid of, just calming down. The other one that came out is called musical joy. So this is more the playful energy card, and it's an active card. So you have the take charge card, you have the chill out card, and then you have the card that's like get up and move your ass. Like you're not going to beat fear by sitting still. So the overall thing that I would take from this is there are multiple ways in which to deal with fear, and there is no best way. It's just how the best way for you to deal with it.
In that case, I would add too that, with the Emperor, he's pretty known for structuring, for creating really good structures and organizing, and so he could also be that force in this case that's asking you to really structure your approach to determine exactly what the best approach will be for you. And you might need to take a good solid breath about that, determine exactly where the core of this fear is coming from, and then come at it from a playful angle. So it's another aspect.
High five.
Next, can I retire in 3 years? This is JP. Can I retire in 3 years? Can you? Can you? JP, can you? No, this one. If that was going to be the Emperor again, I was going to laugh.
I was going to be like, and you have another sun moon.
Yeah.
Remember when you first started using that one?
I know. It's just like, it's the same card. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. And it's the same card. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And it's the same card. I think it's talking to me, guys. What you got, Allorah?
Interesting. So I actually got 3 different cards that came out on their own. So I have the 8 of Cups.
Ooh.
So walking away from something.
Yeah.
I got the 7 of Wands. So victory through adversity is what we're looking at there. And then I got the 5 of Swords. So that's interesting because that's complicated. Because as much as so as much as you're wanting to retire in 3 years, there are other questions that come into play, such as, will you suffer emotionally from doing so? Will you miss what you did? Will you require to go on a new journey to fill that void or that space? Will retiring in 3 years be somewhat of a selfish victory because you'll have to cut back financially or what have you? So I think that that's what, or I feel like that's what all of these cards are talking about. Like, yes, it can be done, but are you thinking of that decision in all of its aspects? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I got the Ace of Swords. And the Ace of Swords is sort of lending to that idea that, you know, it could be it could be, you know, it could be complicated, to use Allorah's words, to retire in 3 years. And, you know, and it's not that it's not possible, but you probably need to start planning for your next step. And it's going to have to be something that is in alignment with what feeds your mind, what feeds your aspects of communication, what nourishes your intellect, your inspiration, your creativity. So you're going to have to begin to disconnect from one to sort of edge into another. But it's a good seed of a beginning, and if you've got a good idea for your retirement, then I think that could be very nurturing and nourishing for you in a different aspect. But if you don't, it's complicated.
Patty Lopez, is a career in nutrition for me?
Is it? Robert Davies. Yes. James Eads. Love it.
Okay, I'm going first. Okay, so is a career in nutrition for you? So, got 2 cards. So the High Priestess paired with the 6 of, hold on, let me think. I get confused. Okay, 6 of Pentacles, sorry.
Ooh.
So, and why I say I get confused is because these don't actually say the suit on them. They just use the elemental symbol. So sometimes my brain, I have a brain lapse. So I would say that use your intuition, and I would say that this is most definitely a career that you would mutually benefit from, as well. If you're advising other people on nutrition, I think it will also help your health and well-being. In return, not even considering the monetary value, etc., but just the energy exchange of, you know, as you help people, you're also going to help yourself. And then, of course, income and so forth and so on, it's going to be there. And it's kind of this whole energy exchange. And I think that, yeah, I mean, I think if you intuitively feel that this is where you're supposed to be, go with that. Trust your intuition, for sure. I think that's why the High Priestess is showing up.
So you got the High Priestess, and what was the other one?
6 Pentacles.
6 of Pentacles. I got the 6 of chalices. So I got the 6 of Cups. And this is about the gift, you know. This is about the divine sacred gift in a way. It's emotional. And so what Allorah was saying about this could really benefit you by you learning nutrition. It could, you know, benefit you far more profoundly than potentially you could recognize in this moment in time. And I think that, you know, the 6 of chalices is about that nourishing gift, that gift of, you know, that really sort of works on a soulful, emotional level. And I think that it will be emotionally fulfilling for you to do so. And there's also that aspect of the 6 of chalices, having that gift given, you know. In the traditional symbolism, it's the down, like it's, you know, the passing of a legacy, it's the teaching, it's the, you know, it's the the sacred nature of the gift that's being, you know, translated into another vessel. And so I think that this is a really beautiful card to cement that there is far more rewards in this path for you than potentially meet the eye in this very moment in time. So yay.
Oh, yay.
That was a really nice one. We needed that one.
Colleen. How can I secure this property listing I am up for?
Natalie, my tarot cards tell me that you already know.
You're gonna be shitting me. Okay, I got a card. You ready?
Go.
Okay, Colleen, got the Emperor. So we've already talked about the Emperor, but we'll say it again. Be very organized, be very structured, take charge, don't sit on your hands, take the bull by the horns, and, you know, get on the listing. Like,
yeah,
you can't be lackadaisical or lackadaisical. Yeah, I love that word. But anyways, yeah, you can't be aloof or lackadaisical when it comes to I don't know if it's a competition or you're up against other people, but yeah, you definitely want to put your best foot forward and show that you can handle it, essentially.
That's exactly right. And with that, I have the Queen of Gurl. So you need to be the boss, okay? You need to go in there with the facts. You need to have things memorized. You're going to need to have things organized, orderly. You're going to need to be able to articulate yourself well. You're going to need to be able to present the best version of yourself. You're going to need to utilize your communication skills and your ability to organize and structure and demonstrate those factors. You're going to need to be able to do that in order to nail this for yourself. And it's really about that polished exterior. I like to put that persona, that ideal forth that you have got this, that you're a boss, that you're a master at this kind of thing. And so
yeah,
you're going to have to be competitive
yeah,
and committed.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this too, because in the corporate or business world, it is still very much a man's game. So you need to harness the masculine divine and masculine energy to show that you can play ball with the boys. Yeah, I mean, people can argue with me all day long, but there still is and I'm not even talking about income or any of that. It's just that there are certain fields where men are primarily the people that are gone to or that take those roles. And so when women do that it's not a traditional thing for women to do, we have to work a little bit harder. And there's nothing, I mean, I never had a problem with it, but it's just the way it is. So what's the next question?
Ink and Flame, what is the main thing I should focus on in my relationship with my oldest son right now? Oh, I got the trump. Can I go?
Good.
I've got the Lovers, and this is cultivating that give and take relationship, that synergy that's important in co-creative and co-loving partnerships. So the Lovers can represent a contract and meeting a middle ground as well. And it's about understanding the other party well enough to determine what the middle ground is, to be able to both get there in an amicable fashion. So it's really about determining what kind of language you need to be utilizing with your son and what kind of angles you need to be utilizing in order to effectively connect with your son. So every single human being, doesn't matter the age or culture, they will have a language in which they prefer to communicate in. And that language will have a tone, it will have receptive qualities, it will have defensive qualities, and you need to determine exactly what type of language it is that your son is utilizing most with you, and then determine the most amicable way of getting to that middle ground. But it's not so much about you forcing that communication. You also need to create that middle ground in order for him to come to you, and for him to feel safe and valued and respected enough to come to you. And that's one of the most important things, is that both parties in this particular situation are of equal value, and that middle ground is something that needs to be fought for. So, oh my God, I just got my goosebumps. That's my wisdom hit. I just shared some wisdom there.
So you got the Lovers. I got the Empress and the Ten of Cups.
Yeah.
So when Avalon started talking about you need to make that space for him to come to you, that's what the Empress is all about: creating fertile ground, being nurturing, just harnessing the feminine aspect of the divine. And then the Ten of Cups, of course, is about just total emotional fulfillment, having a happy and joyous home, but also having a place where there's a refuge. And refuge is the word that kept repeating in my mind as we were as I drew these. So really kind of try to cultivate that aspect of yourself, that nurturing aspect, that aspect where he can come to you and he wants to come to you for, his problems, issues, whatever. I think that would be the most important aspect for you to focus on with him.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Aww.
And we've got an Australian witch here. We've got Emma, the Gypsy Witch. And she has asked, how can I get the strength, courage to continue my fertility IVF journey? As I'm shuffling, I would just like to ask those watching at this moment in time how you are finding the Light Visions Tarot, because I'm having a really good time over here. It's holding up the shuffle really well. They're non-sticky. The messages are coming through quite aptly, I feel. And I've got to say, I'm pretty damn impressed. This is probably one of the best ways to break in a deck, is to do a couple of back-to-back draws, different questions, different people. Thanks so much for hanging around as well, guys. Thank you for all the questions. We've got some really interesting questions. We've had some really great conversations there in the chat stream. I love when such a beautiful bunch of people get together and can actively interact between you. And
Okay, that makes sense now. Like, what?
do you want to go? I haven't even pulled the card yet.
Okay.
Do you feel like you're first? Do you feel like you're in starting posse?
Yeah. So I actually pulled a tarot and an oracle card for this one. So the tarot card that came up is Father of Earth, or King of Pentacles. So this is just a reminder to have patience, and this is a long process. So have patience, and I'm going to say this because you are a witch. So work abundance and prosperity magic. Spend time in nature, most definitely, with things that are growing. And this is where this card comes in, because this is the vibrational energy oracle. And I had to quick take a look at something, because inspired juggler, and I'm thinking, huh? But it does make sense. So I think what frustrates you most, or something that is extremely frustrating, is that you have no control over this situation. And so the inspired juggler is all about controlling what you can control, organize what you can organize, structure what you can structure. So my advice, I guess, and the advice of the cards, for finding the courage and strength to continue your journey is just be patient. Remember, it's a process. Spend time in nature, work prosperity and abundance magic, and control and organize the things that you can, because this situation in general is nothing that you can have control of and produce what you want to produce when you want to produce it. It doesn't work like that. So yeah, what do you got over there?
I got the Magician and the Ace of Swords. So pretty much magic. So magic, definitely. The Great Manifester. Now, the Great Manifester is not just a one-off job. He's not a one-trick pony. The Magician is someone who thoughtfully determines exactly what his aim is, his objective is, and then brings heaven and earth together in order to create that which is necessary for that manifestation to succeed. Now, you've got a long process here. The Magician is calling mastery over that process, and you need to be able to sort of harness that witch aspect of yourself and claim your mastery in that regard. This is not about success and failures. This is not about the best witch, worst witch, the best mother, worst mother, the best woman, worst woman. It's about using what you've got, what skills you have, in order to make sure that the outcome is more favorable for you. That's what magic is. It's not the be all and end all. It is making sure that you tilt the favor in your direction. So, and then you've got the Ace of Swords. And the Ace of Swords is about the seed. It's about the planting of the seed, isn't it? So if it's IVF that you're heading in the direction for, then I would recommend doing some really great, effective manifestation work. I'd recommend working, 2 to 3 lunar cycles of work, of really focused, intentional work, and then preparing your body at the same time, making sure that you're doing that cleansing that's necessary. So you're arranging the situation to make sure that the entire process is delivered with a sense of awareness. So. And then the Ace of Swords, I genuinely believe that represents your IVF process, and you will cultivate that courage through the work that you're doing. So if you're aligning your magic, your manifestations in accordance with that work, and I'm not even using the word manifestations in a willy-nilly, you're witchcrafting you're working magic in order to create that which is necessary in your life to give you the edge and to make sure that you can achieve that which you are aiming to achieve. And so, put your skills to really good use, ground them down effectively, work with your lunar cycles, and have a really good time of it. This is a really good message. I like it.
Okay, we have 3 more, and then I have to go.
I have a question. Who has been trying to get my attention? We have to get Anna's question too.
No, I already got it. Where are you at? You're not paying attention. It's already on there.
I know, I just saw. I'm so sorry, my friend.
Okay, next question is from Robert Davis. How can I gain strength in my career right now? Things are going well, however, I always worry. The cards are going to tell you to stop worrying. I'm not going to draw.
The Emperor is going to come up and he's going to say confidence. King of Pentacles. And he's literally taking the bull by the horns. I would have to say here, because I got the King of Pentacles, I would have to say that this is about mastery over resources. And so you need to cultivate that. How is it that you put it? You gain strength in your career right now by cultivating that deep understanding, that awareness, that experience, that skill, the knowledge, the foundational knowledge, the ability to work within that career effectively to the point where people view you as an authority figure. And so that does mean, you know, doing the work. It also means being slightly more ambitious than perhaps you are being here, mostly because, did you get the Emperor?
No.
Okay. That also means being slightly more ambitious, slightly more forthcoming. Now, generally the King of Pentacles is quite a placid achiever, but he does do the work and he will speak up when it's absolutely necessary. And he did not become a king by being, you know, idle. That's the word I'm looking for. He did not become a king by being idle. So, you know, by the time you reach the king, you are the apex of that suit, right? So if you really want to gain strength, then you need to be prepared to be at the apex of your career and really strive in that direction, regardless of whether or not you reach, you know, a managerial position or even further up. That's not what it's about. It's about being the best that you can be in whichever position you're in, and slowly rise in that regard. So it really calls upon, you know, developing the skill set and doing the work and being the best at it.
So funny enough, the devil came up with the sun. So basically, remember how I said that the cards were going to tell you to stop worrying? Well, that's kind of what this is, except the devil represents things that we're addicted to, obsessed with, etc., things that keep us in bondage. So your concerns and worry about your work, it has become somewhat of an obsession, compulsion. Actually, yeah, compulsion's a better word. Something that you can't help, like you just compulsively think about it. But the sun coming up with this card is telling you it's fine, calm down, it's going to be okay. You don't have to worry all the time about it. And oddly enough, to gain strength in your career, you need to enjoy it, and you need to enjoy outside of work as well. Because I don't know what to do, but I do know that you know, we put a lot of time and effort into our careers, but at the end of the day, when we pass away, we're not here anymore. Especially if you work for a corporate business, tomorrow they're going to get somebody to replace you. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I mean, I know that sounds negative, but it's not. I don't mean it to sound negative. I'm just trying to get the point across that sometimes, you know, you need to let loose a little bit.
Maybe go out on your own.
Perhaps.
Maybe be a boss.
Perhaps.
Just saying. King of Pentacles. He's a boss. Oh my God. What's next? What do the cards have to tell me?
Well, that's really wide open.
I'm going to use my Oracle of Echo. I wonder how Anna will feel if I use the Oracle of Echoes for her reading. I wonder how much I will use the Bone Stone and Earth Flesh when I actually have it. Like, being that it will be a deck that I created, I wonder if I'll have that, you know, oh my God, my deck, I'm going to use my deck all the time. Or if it's like, that's my deck. That's just weird. Like, why would I, like, you know, why would I use my deck all the time? Like, I wonder how it's going to play out for me personally.
All the time. Oh. What are you? My deck likes to slap me around. Well, alrighty then. What? Why are you? Can you stop?
It's my Oracle card. It's just funny.
Okay, what do you have?
I got father time.
Okay.
No, it's not the right time. It's not the right time for that question.
What?
It's just not the right time for that question. Like, I don't feel like it's the right time for me to answer that with my oracle cards.
So I actually used the Samadhi oracle. I love this oracle. But what came out was the ultimate reality.
Ooh.
So with this card, the cards are basically telling you it's time to wake up. It's time for you to wake up fully and get out of the 3D matrix, so to speak, and stop living. How do I put this? I guess pull back the curtain. It's like the best metaphor I can come up with. Like, I'm sure you have seen The Wizard of Oz or heard of it, and there's a man behind a curtain, and he has this big voice, and, you know, in the movie, they all think that he's great and powerful, but then they pull back the curtain and they see that he's a little man controlling the scene around them. So start asking questions, question everything, research things, don't take things at face value, especially when it comes to theories and beliefs and all of those type of things. So that's what my cards have to tell you.
My card said father time. Only time will tell.
Only time will tell. Okay, where are we at? Oh, who has been trying to get my attention? Like, are we talking deity or what?
We're talking about an external force.
Okay. That's out.
Okay. I feel like I need to pick my feet up off the ground, unground myself, get a little connected to spirit there.
You've had an interesting 2 months. Okay.
She has, remember?
Ew.
Mm.
That's where we're going with this.
Mm.
Whoa.
Ooh. Ooh.
What do you got?
I've got some interest here. I've got the ones that make the hairs on your arms stand on end.
This is okay. Let me go for. Wait. Or what deck are you using?
Light visions.
Okay.
What deck are you using?
New Era Elements.
Right.
Yeah.
Eh?
So I got the Knight of Pentacles.
Right.
And the 10 of Wands.
I got the Fool, the 5 of Swords, and the Ace of Pentacles. So what did you get again? Knight of Pentacles?
And the 10 of Wands.
10 of Wands. Okay. So my Ace to your 10, 5 of Swords to your Knight, and Fool the beginning. Sound about right?
Yeah.
Rightio. So I'll start with the Fool. Then I will go to the 5 of Swords. You read me the medicine of the 10. No, that's not right. Let me conceptualize this in my mind.
This is where it gets tricky when you're doing live stack readings and you don't have the cards in front of you.
Okay. No, I've got this. Fool is on its own. Fool is trump. Fool is loose. Fool is wild, right? Your knight, my 5. Your knight is the medicine for my 5 of swords. My Ace of Pentacles is the medicine to your 10 of swords.
10 of wands.
10 of wands. Sorry, 10 of wands. Okay, I'm going to read Fool. Fucking excited. So excited. Okay. Anna, your deity has changed.
She is crying right now.
She's crying. She's like, what? Your deity has changed. Your patron, matron, the cultivated goddess relationship, God relationship, the deity relationship that you have been working with, it has changed. That's a reset. You've got Fool card. That's not the beginning. It's not the end. It's the slate clear, right? It's the spirit in search of the experience. So you're loose now. You're loose. And I genuinely believe that because you're loose in the wild card setting, the deities that want to work with you are tugging at you pretty tightly, and so you'll get knocked around a little bit. So it would be probably in your best interest to determine exactly what you want, and that's the 5. That's the 5 of swords. It's tugging you around. It's bringing conflict into your situation. It's mental anguish in that conflict. It can be physical conflict as well. We know you've had some conflict. You've had some like irrational conflict. So, Allorah, you've got the medicine for my 5 of swords here.
Is the Knight of Pentacles. Sorry. My brain's starting to melt. Okay, so in order to, okay.
It's practical, isn't it? No, it's pretty damn practical.
Ground. I would say this is less about the night, more about the element. Ground, eat, grounding foods. Take a page out of Avalon's book.
Potatoes.
Go eat some fucking potatoes. Get on the ground.
Root vegetables.
Yeah. Very much, I would say your bottom, oh God, okay, this doesn't even make it, like, this doesn't even go with this card, but whatever. So I would say pay attention to your bottom 3 chakras more so at this time than you know what I'm saying. Bottom 3 chakras are important. Grounding, centering, spending time in nature. And it's very practical and kind of just pay attention to your day-to-day activities, your physical day-to-day activities, and whatever, I don't even know, some form of exercise would be good for you to undertake right now. Okay, go on.
I like that. And never forget, too, that all nights depict a movement of sorts, an evolution. Right. So they bring that movement into perspective. That's a very earthy one, right?
Right.
So then I've got the Ace of Pentacles.
Oh, maybe I should read first, huh?
Oh, yeah. Go with that one.
Okay, so the next challenge card that came up is the 10 of Wands. So the deities that are, this is the way I'm reading this, the deities that are tugging on you are some pretty powerful bitches. I don't know how else to say it. And so it's very heavy energy. It can feel oppressive. It can feel like you're carrying the burdens of all of the world on your back. It can cause stress, anxiety, et cetera, et cetera. But that's because these are whoever it is that's trying to come in, and the someones that are pulling on you, it's some very heavy energy. So I would even venture to say, sorry about that, guys. I would even venture to say you're looking at deities more so on the darker side of the spectrum. And when I say darker side of the spectrum, yeah, I hate using that term, but that's the only way that I can, I don't know. That's the only way that I can convey what I'm trying to say. So on one side of the spectrum, we have like Aphrodite and I don't know,
Tara, Kuan Yin.
Yeah. Love, compassion, Lakshmi, those type deity. And then on the other end, you have Kali and Pele and Hades, Hell, and we're working in that pool, I would say.
Yeah. Right. So I've got the Ace of Pentacles, which is the beginning. So this is a beginning of a new approach. This is obviously a physical thing. So with the Knight of Pentacles, it was, it was definitely ground down, pay particular attention to the physicality, regenerate, recoup, and all that sort of stuff, because you have had the Five of Swords moments and you have had the Ten of Swords experience, which, put together really does kind of map out the situation. So the Ace of Pentacles is about, it is about the clean slate, the seed of potential there. There's a new beginning, brewing in the very deep earth at the moment. And it's about the approach. So it's about the new process, the new rhythm, the new structure, the new daily devotional. So how are you going to begin your daily devotionals now? And are you going to do your daily devotionals? Are you going to, be able to make space for this potentially new deity that comes through? And obviously determining who that deity might be, it will be the very beginning of it. But chances are the deity has a weight to it, like Allorah was saying, and determining a much more resetting the process for yourself is going to be essential. So what worked for you in the past is no longer going to work for you now. So this is an entirely new experience, an entirely new path. It's very grounded and it's very earthly, and so there'll be much more physical, hands-on. This could be, this could be beneficial to you in the sense that, you'll get to create and craft, hands-on craft a lot more. This might actually be talking about a statue. The beautiful Anna gets possessed by deity and she creates statuary. For those who didn't know, she's actually an incredible statue maker. And so that might be the very beginning of your process, is to determine what deity that is and begin that phase for yourself. But yeah, it's interesting, but I would definitely say new deity.
Oh. No, I'm tired.
So there we go.
Okay.
Oh, Jillian, we really talked about your deck today.
Oh.
All right, folks, we're going to have to call it quits because we've been on live for a very long time. This will be a very long live stream. We may look at doing this in a much more professional setting. We don't know yet. Allorah is coming to visit me soon, and so we've got a few little things in the works, and we're going to try and get creative and make the most of our time and have a really good fun time of it as well. Allorah's going to have lots of new decks to play with, when she gets here. So we could have a really, really big, long card slinging session and just go through all my high-end decks and just pull out, like, which deck will be for this one? And just pull them all out, try them all on. There's some there that are still in their boxes, they're still wrapped in plastic. You never know. You never know what's going to happen.
And Avalon has recruited me to do the very hard job of culling her deck collection.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I'll be coming home with a few. I'll be like,
I've got about
this one. Let me take it.
I've culled a fair bit. I've got rid of a fair bit. My collection used to be over 1,000. Like in my time span, I've actually had thousands of decks come through my come through my possession, and I've moved a lot and I've traveled the world a lot. So I've had decks and I've repurposed them and I've given them away and I've sold them, over the years. Right now, I would consider my deck collection to be in the humble numbers, perhaps not humble by other people's standards, but it's my collection as it stands now is just under 1,000, I would say, or perhaps more, because I have gotten rid of quite a bit, and I've got a fair bit to the side there to get rid of that I don't know what to do with. The ones that I have gotten rid of, I didn't like them, so I gave them to Lifeline. I got rid of them. I didn't look to make any money out of them. The ones that I'm unsure about, the ones that are sort of here at the moment, I'm looking to potentially sell, and I don't want to trade because I'm actually trying to get my numbers down. Unless you've got one of the 4 decks that I really want, I'm not looking to trade. I'm just looking to sell, and get rid of it.
And unless she's having a bad day and goes out to the post office and comes back with 4 tarot decks, and it's like, how did
That's my dirty secret.
Some people eat their emotions. Some people have vices.
Yeah, I bought another one just the other day.
What?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, well,
I pre-ordered one, the US game system ones, because I saw it on Instagram. The Bard's Lament had it, and I'm like, oh, Larissa. She put it in front of me.
When I get there, you're on a buying ban.
Yeah, I'm going to go on a solid buying ban, but I think I've spoken about this before, in the sense that I'm looking to create a much more meaningful collection, a collection of beautiful decks, a collection that I can look at and go, wow, that's an impressive collection to my standards. And that to me is not about numbers, it's about the quality and the type of deck that I have in my possession. And so, I have some incredibly beautiful decks in there, and things that I just know that I'll never let go of. And then there are others that I'm just like, I don't have the love for you. You're part of the collection, so I have I'm fond of you in that way, but I don't have the love for you, nor do I reach for you. And so we'll do some card slinging to determine what's good, what's not, and get rid of them, really. That's how it's going to be.
Oh my gosh, I should go through each of your decks and do a basket. Do you stay or do you go? And flip it over. See what it says.
You'll be here for that will take you all week.
Oh man.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. We've got lots of things to look for. Oh, hang on, Cherry Chapstick had to write your question in all caps, and that was a very vague question. What happened?
They wanted to know if they needed to pay to get a reading. No, we didn't charge anybody.
No, we haven't charged, but unless you're hang on, what's here? Want in when Allorah Rain is visiting, let's vid chat. Let's do that. I'm so happy I caught the end of this. Nice to see you beautiful faces.
Oh,
silly and you're gorgy. Can you give a used deck to someone? If so, do you need to cleanse them? Yeah, you can. You can give any sort of deck to anybody. There's no superstitions anymore. No, earlier she asked a question. It got lost. Oh, okay. I didn't see the question. I apologize. We didn't see the question, but we must away, guys, because we have been on for a very long time.
3.5 hours, yeah.
Yeah, that's the longest live I think I've ever done. So.
Me too.
We told you it was going to be a good chat, and we covered some topics today. We really went through a few decks. We went through some crystals. We went through some oils. We went through a sniff pot. We had a break. We did some card slinging. We talked about Mother Mary. We had shadow work, channeling. Jeez, like we've covered a lot, guys, a lot. So let's give it a little bit of a break. Allorah and I will always be back for more shenanigans.
Oh yeah, that's us.
Let's see how we go. I have a question to ask though, and I think that this is a valid question. if we were ever to do this for money, and I'm not even talking about like $50 or anything like that, I'm talking about by donation, for instance. If we were to get on here and card sling by donations, what do you think is a fair amount to ask? Like gold coin donation, $5 donations in and around the, like, you know, how, for you who have received a reading from us in this way, and obviously if we were doing this in a different setting where we would be requiring, or we would be asking, not requiring, but asking for donations, we would obviously polish it up a little bit for you. maybe not actually. How much would you be willing to donate in order, and I'm not asking for massive donations, it's simply to, you know, to say thanks. So if you liked it, how much would you consider donating to us, to our skills, to our time, to this time that we spend with you and online and all that? So leave a little comment, and either on my channel or not on my channel, I don't know, underneath this video. Just have a little think about it. No one's replied to answer straight away right now. But if you could, you should answer right now.
So she starts yelling at the camera.
I'm a mom. I go from 0 to yell. Really easy. Oh, guys, that's nice. So, keep it raw, baby. I donate 5 in trade. I think that would be great. That's awesome, guys. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't expect oodles of money, really, not for that. But it might be something that I look to do if I ever do go through my entire collection, and if I do go through my entire collection, that's actually worth having a little donation thing going, because there's a lot of decks there. That would take me a fucking long time. Something to look forward to. And then maybe an auctioning off of the decks towards the end on another day. Allorah, you've got so much work to do when you come here. Oh,
I can't wait. Oh, what does that say? Oh. Charge a fee and give a deck away. Donate the excess. Huh.
Yeah. Definitely. I'd donate a couple, that's for damn sure, just to make it fun, you know. I was thinking $5 too, kind of 1 card drawer in the shop. I charge
live deck auction chat.
Yeah, I think a live deck auction, that would be pretty damn good there. And yeah, some ideas anyway, guys. So I do appreciate that. And
we'll have to recruit Chase for that.
Yeah.
Hey, you're gonna moderate. How about that? Do what he does to me. I go to watch a video and he's like, "Oh, and Allorah's here and she's gonna moderate." And I'm like, "What? I'm doing what?" And I'm like, "Damn it."
I was in and out of one of his chats the other day, his live ones. And I'm like, "Take off your hat." I was just being a bossy bitch, really. He was doing really great though. I don't have much money for myself, so I'd pay $5, but beyond that, I'd be stretched. Yeah, like it's really not, you know, because it's only just a couple of cards, and you know, we do this quite a bit for free, but we are both professional readers at the same time, and I do think that there's a certain level of professional courtesy that needs to be exchanged at the same time. We're not going to ask for donations, obviously, for every single time we do this, but you know, once in a while, I think it just keeps the exchange quite fair, and it helps us, you know, to create better things for you guys, to pay some of the internet costs.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
They're monthly. Just so you know, energy, all that kind of stuff. Anyways, a conversation for another time. Thank you guys for joining in. It was an absolute pleasure hanging out with each of you. Thank you for all of your questions. We tried to get through everyone's. Obviously, we would have missed a couple, but again, make sure that caps lock those questions to make it easy. Do you have an Etsy store, etc.? If we want more readings, yes, I do. I have an Etsy store. Allorah has a website. Do you still have a website, Allorah?
No, so I am completely off of the interwebs. For reasons, but I'm completely by PayPal. And yep. So I can, yeah, I guess I need to do that. Hey, you can find me on Facebook. And also we have an STW website, spreadtheswitches.com. and I'll link that information on there as well. We each have a page on the STW website, so you can go there to find our personal websites, stores, whatever, what have you. So check it out.
Yeah. We're all easily found anyway in one form or another. So there we have it, guys. Well, have an absolutely beautiful day. Look after yourselves, and I will chat to you soon. Laura, would you like to say your goodbyes?
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. It's been long, but it's been really, really good because I needed the practice for sure. Like brushing up on my yeah.
Good. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.